You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men power want? More power.
And now, broadcasting live on GMN from an undisclosed location in the Arizona desert. Italian by birth, American by choice. Songwriter, poet, freedom activist, Luca Zanna with Love, Guns, and Freedom.
All systems go.
Don't tread on.
Hi everybody, this is Luca Zanna and you're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom on KTOX 1340 AM and on Guerrilla Media Network. Don't forget also to go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. I always say, every Sunday, I'm always so excited because I always bring you guests that I really want to meet myself. I took this opportunity to do this radio show, mostly, honestly, almost for selfish reasons, because I really want to know more. I want to learn more. And more important, I would like to meet all the people that I've been studying or I've been trying to get inspiration and I got inspired by. I already told you in the past, when I came to America as a fresh immigrant, 1998, at the end of the 1998, and early in 1999, I just wanted to decide what I wanted to do in my life, in my new American life. And one thing I wanted to do, I really wanted to say thank you to this country that, especially during World War II, I had really something to be thankful about. You know, my family, as you know, is from Anzio, and especially the part of my family from my mother's side, you know, they were pretty much not in a good shape, let's put it this way. They've been living, hiding in the mountains around Rome, between Rome and Anzio. And if it wasn't for the sacrifice and the blood that many American GIs shed on the beaches of Anzio, and they were able to rescue this generation of Italian people that they were under anyway the oppression of the Germans and before, of course, Mussolini, I wouldn't probably be here. So when I grew up with my grandfather, learning about the story, there wasn't even the history yet. It was still fresh in his mind, fresh on his body. And I wanted always, since I was a young man, say, I want to become an American one day. And when finally I had a chance to come here for good, 1998 and early 1999, I said, you know what, maybe I really would like to be a soldier. And I would like to give back all the sacrifice that a generation before mine, gave to us, to my family, and to what used to be, and as I used to be my country. Unfortunately, maybe fortunately, I was still naive and I didn't know many things about this country, but I wanted to learn. So I was able to, by act of God, I really believe that, before I was going to sign my signature on this contract on this, dotted line of the Army recruiting officer. I remember still the place was in Cahuenga, Hollywood, when I used to be in California a long time ago. I used to study and used to find through the internet a website and more important information about a case. And this case was about a private, a soldier. His name was Michael New. Well, today I have the honor to pretty much have his father with me. They will tell you exactly the story of this courageous, that for me was probably one of the most important people that gave me the understanding what means the New World Order, what is the danger of global government, and more important, what means that we must understand what exactly are these dangers hidden that sometimes in plain view we don't see. So I decided after I learned what could have happened to me if I was going to join the army. I didn't want to become a United Nations puppet. I didn't want to become a United Nations soldier. I wanted to become an American soldier. So thanks to Michael New example and learning what happened to him, I decided I wanted to be here, not under the control of some globalist commander, but I wanted to be an American and try to do everything I could to expose this New World Order and to fight it back in every way we can out of this country, our nation, sovereign American nation, this republic, for whatever it's left. Now, today I have the honor to have with me, probably I say always every week, oh my God, this is really for me. If I could stop to do this show today, I'd be happy man. I have the man who raised and created in this planet, with the help, of course, of his wife and God, Michael knew. Daniel knew. How you there, Daniel?
I'm here. Thank you very much, Luca.
I hope I was clear enough, and maybe not too much dramatic. Sometimes I get kind of dramatic, but I really mean it.
You are Italiano. Of course you get dramatic.
Anyway, I used to be. Technically, I gave up my passport the day I took my oath of my citizenship. So right now, if they throw me out of this country, I'm nothing. I'm pretty much only an American. But, unfortunately, you know very well, Daniel, right now, pretty much the president or just some bureaucrat in Homeland Security, pretty much they can declare you an enemy combatant and strip you of your citizenship. They don't even need to do that anymore. Even as an American, they just can kidnap you and put you in some dark hole, maybe in Guantanamo, and indefinitely detain you. You know that. So I always wonder what's going to happen to me. But meanwhile, no matter what type of paperwork, the American flag, it is in my heart. It is not even anymore on a piece of paper. You know what I mean? So Daniel, yes. Thank you very much for being with me today, first of all.
Yes, and thank you. You're sharing your story has been very inspiring to us because and we hear stories like this from time to time, but yours is one of the best in terms of how it shaped your life. And there's so many guys, and I know a number of men who were in the military who did not re-enlist because of Michael's case, or in some cases, one or two cases, resigned a commission.
Yes.
Who were officers, and they resigned from the Army. And, of course, there's two schools of thought on that. Some people say that you need to the good guys need to stay in and try to make it a better Army. It's a little bit like the streetwalkers for Jesus, I'm not so sure.
Let's start from the beginning because, there is a lot of people, unfortunately, that by maybe age, they are younger, or maybe just because...
You are right. You are right. This happened in 1995.
Exactly.
So if you were born the same year as this happened, you can now be 20 years old. You could be in the Army for 2 years or just now joining the Army.
Exactly.
And you would have a good excuse for not ever hearing the story. But Michael was in the Army. He was a regular Army. He was a medic, serving at that time in 3rd Infantry Division in Germany. Mm-hmm. And he had previously served in North Africa and then I don't mean North Africa. I'm sorry, in Saudi Arabia during follow-up to the war in Kuwait and with Iran, the first war, and had seen a little bit of action there, but it was mostly peacetime. But here he was in Germany, and he was told to get ready for another deployment into Macedonia. And he was looking forward to it. He liked to see the new deployments and to see new places, and he really enjoyed the Army. He every morning he said he would be shaving and he would say, "I love this life. I could do 20 years of this, standing on my head." And then he said every night when he went to bed, he would say, "I hate this job. I'm going to go AWOL in the morning." But every morning he felt better, but it was kind of a love-hate thing. He'd been promoted early. He was getting ready to be promoted to sergeant, and he had been invited to join a program to become an officer.
Wow.
Go to officers' candidate school. He was a good soldier, and he found out about the Macedonian deployment. He was happy until they told him, "You're going to wear a blue hat. You're going to take off your U.S. flag off your right shoulder, put on a United Nations patch, a round blue patch."
Wow.
Now, that doesn't mean anything to a civilian, but you put the American flag on the left shoulder, the U.S. flag. So, to us, it doesn't mean anything, but to anyone who knows how to read the uniform, the right shoulder is the dominant patch. That's the dominant force who's in control. The left shoulder is a unit patch under the authority of the dominant patch. So when you move that American flag to the left shoulder and put a UN patch, or even an International Expeditionary Force patch, you're telling the world that the United States is a unit in this military force, that we're not the boss. We're a unit under the authority of whatever it is. And so he simply said to his sergeant first, and then to his lieutenant, and then to the captain, finally to the colonel, he said, "I have a problem with this order. I don't see how you can force me to serve a foreign power against my will. If you want volunteers, that's one thing. How do you think you can force me? I took an oath to support and defend the United States of America.
Yes.
I did not take an oath to the United Nations. I have a contract with the USA. I don't have a contract with the United Nations. So how can you force me to serve? I'm not a mercenary. You know, I mean, I think it's bad enough that you take volunteers, but if you force me to do it, then I'm not a free man. And they said, well, of course you're not free. You're in the Army. And he said, yes, but I am under the control of the Constitution, and so are you, because you took the same oath I did.
Yes.
So you mentioned the oath before, Luca, and it's a different type of oath, but it's a different oath, but it's the same type. You know, I believe we're the only country in the world where we take an oath of allegiance to a document instead of to the crown or to the king or to the president or to the Fuhrer or to whomever. I don't know. What is it in Italy? Do you know?
Well, technically, when you are in the army, you have an oath to the Republic, but if you read very well the Republic, it is not really a republic anymore. Never was supposed to be. I mean, there is not really a Bill of Rights, let's spell it out. And they look at you not like a person with individual rights, unalienable rights, but like a nation based on work. You're a worker. You're a slave. And I tell you something, because I did, when I was younger, the military school, preparation to become an officer. And when I realized exactly that I could not serve such system, I decided to pretty much, I'm not going to do this anymore. So I was one of the most, very hard to get in academy, the Nunziatella military school, that out of 3,000 people, only 30 people can get in the year. And I was one of the 30.
Wow.
And when I get there, I realized, you know what? Sorry, guys. I cannot do this anymore. But no, this is different. It is different. But it never really was different, only because it's been like that since the beginning, since the time of the empire. Then became kings, and then the popes, and pretty much always a serf. That's the idea. And the military is used like the police to work for the authority to keep the serfs down. That's the idea.
Right. So your oath there would be to the Republic and not to a constitution.
Yeah, there is a constitution, but the idea is it's a little different anyway here. We don't have a constitution with unalienable rights like the Bill of Rights. Let's put it in this way. So it's kind of little different. And let's put it in this way. America is the only one, and I did the research before I came here, the only place in the world where we have a Bill of Rights with the Declaration of Independence and this type of constitutional system that used to be a republic, like in the real sense of a republic, not a democracy. So we are unique here, or we were before we were. Yes. Go ahead, please.
You're absolutely right. Anyway, to make the story short for your listeners, the Army told Specialist Michael New that he had to wear the uniform that they gave him, and that was it. You obey orders. And he said, well, I'm going to seek counsel. And he did, and we found a lawyer. He calls me up and he says, I think I'm going to be court-martialed. And I said, my goodness, what have you done?
Oh my gosh.
I didn't do anything. I said, well, why would they court-martial you if you haven't done something? And he said, well, it's because of something I'm going to not do. Oh, okay, what is that? He said, they want me to wear a blue hat. And immediately, boy, the light came on. I knew what he was saying.
Yeah.
And we talked about this. I said, when you join the Army, I said, what will you do if they ask you to serve under the United Nations? He said, what are the chances? It's not likely. I said, well, it's not likely, but it's not likely to win the lottery, but some people win, and maybe you're going to be the lucky guy, and they're going to ask you to serve under the UN. And he said, I'm just not going to do it. So he was prepared in his mind. He understood the issue, and he was no expert on the UN. I mean, he was 22 years old, but
yeah.
he knew that he served his country, and as far as we know, he was immediately arrested. He was court-martialed for refusing to obey an order and to wear a UN uniform.
Wow.
The general on that deployment came from Finland, not an American officer.
Oh my gosh.
So not an officer approved by Congress or by the President or by the Constitution. And there were 4 groups, 1 American, 1 Finnish, 1 Danish, and 1 Swedish. So they had the Scandinavian group with 1 group of Americans. And I'm sure that they were an interesting group, and I'm sure it would have been an interesting military experience. The problem was it was unconstitutional, and it was illegal. And that's the thing that we can't seem to get over. So many soldiers tell me, but I served in the Army, and I spent some time under NATO or working with the guys in Scandinavia, and I loved it. I say, that's not the criteria that we use for whether or not it's right or not. I know a guy that told me once that he loved when his neighbor was on vacation because the best times he had were with his neighbor's wife.
Oh my God!
So you can't do that. Just because you like it doesn't make it right. So you have to obey the Constitution. So does the government. And so we could prove, without any doubt, we had the evidence to prove that even the uniform was unauthorized. Although they could change those regulations, but they have Army regulations for the uniform. Everything on the uniform. The deployment was unauthorized by Congress and was therefore illegal. President Clinton lied to Congress, and I know that's going to shock your listeners, but he lied to Congress and told them he had the authority under Presidential Decision Directive number 25.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, and they said, well, let's see it. And he said, no, it's classified. Take my word for it.
Wow.
Not even Congress could be allowed to see PDD 25.
Who wrote that? So, who wrote that executive order or PDD? Who wrote it?
PDD 25 was written by Bill Clinton's White House.
Wow, from itself.
And it's the document that authorizes himself to ignore Congress, to ignore the legislation, the law, to ignore the Constitution, and do what he wants to do. But you can't read it. Wow, it's a blank check.
Yeah.
So under those, we could prove all of this, except we didn't have the classified document.
Mm-hmm.
But we could prove all of the other points. So we got to the court-martial in January of '96, and the judge, after he said the lights were on over at the JAG office every night until midnight or later, trying to figure out what to do with all this evidence. And in the end, they did the only thing they could do. The court-martial judge says to the panel, which is like a jury, he said, "Gentlemen, I have looked at the order, and I have decided that it was lawful. Therefore, you will see no evidence in this case about the lawfulness of the order. You will only determine whether or not the soldier obeyed the order or not."
Wow.
Well, his own mother would have to vote guilty. Of course, he disobeyed the order.
Yeah.
The entire question was why. And so as a result, he was kicked out of the Army. Now, they wanted to give him a bad conduct. They wanted to give him a dishonorable discharge and put him in prison.
Mm-hmm.
But as it turned out, the jury came back. They said, okay, guilty. And then they came back and said, bad conduct discharge. It's like a slap on the wrist. Yeah, you're kicked out, but you lose your benefits. You can't be buried in a military cemetery. You can't get veterans benefits. That was a big loss. Maybe. Mm-hmm. You get two chances to die for your country, once on a battlefield and then once in a veterans hospital.
Yeah.
So
I guess so. Yeah, exactly.
He lost the GI benefit for the education, but it was a small price to pay in our opinion, and in his opinion. That he said, look, if it's wrong, it's wrong. And as far as we know, Luca, this is the first American soldier ever convicted for wanting to serve his own country.
I have a few questions. By the way, listeners, if you're tuning in right now, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. This is the first hour of the show. We're talking exactly with Michael New. He's the father of a former private, Michael New. Daniel New. I'm sorry. We're talking with Daniel New. My brain is so excited I can't even think straight. And he's the father of Michael New. And if you're listening to so far right now, this is something that I will post. By the way, there is a YouTube that I found that pretty much summed the story very well. It's like a short documentary about all this case. And I will post that on today's show on lovegunsfreedom.com. Now, I have a few questions for Daniel New. First of all, how's it doing, Mike? I mean, he got out of the Army, and of course, he didn't have to go to jail, right? So that's I want to just refresh this for the listeners.
Oh, no. It's a bad conduct discharge, no jail.
No jail,
he was
okay.
Sent home, and, he married a girl from Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might call that a war bride, but maybe it's a peacekeeping bride. I don't know.
Okay.
But in any event, he married a German girl and came home. He got a job. They have 2 children. No, he has not found it difficult even to find a job. It's been he had more job offers than he knew what to do with.
Wow, that's beautiful. At least that. Now, my question first is this: if I was a fellow soldier in Michael's company battalion,
mm-hmm.
whatever, I would join him on the spot. Say, I'm with you, brother, immediately. Now, among all thousands of soldiers that pretty much they were going to be deployed, is it possible nobody else joined him? I mean, he was doing all this by himself. This is my first thing that really broke my heart, you know. Is that true?
In that battalion, 400 and some odd soldiers, not one, even though when they talked in the barracks, most of them said, like 2/3 of them, he said, agreed with him. He said, well, yeah, you're right, Mike, but hey, think about it. We get an extra $1,000 a month for 6 months for this deployment. He said, that's $6,000. We can buy a used car, a good used car for $6,000. And Michael said, well, okay, yes, you're right. You get more money. Well, what do you call it, Dad? He says, when somebody offers you money to do something you believe is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I can think of several words, and none of them were very nice, so I didn't tell him that. But but they agreed with him. Now, there were a few soldiers who spoke up when the opportunity prevailed later. And there was one Green Beret sergeant at what is the fort in North Carolina at Fort Bragg?
Yes.
In fact, there was a group of them who were very supportive of Michael, and one of them was so vociferous, and he went on the air and was on the radio and gave speeches, not in uniform, of course. And some men came to him one day, and the command sergeant major came to him and said, Sergeant Razor, we need to talk to you. 2 men here from the White House. 2 men in gray suits. They would be, the President of the United States is willing to allow you to resign from the Army with a general discharge.
Wow.
But I'm an enlisted man. I do not have the privilege of resigning. Only officers can resign. And I have to serve out my term. And they said, well, we're going to make an exception for you. Just forget the law. We just do what we want to do. and Sergeant Razor said, well, you're telling me the President of the United States is demanding my resignation just because I exercise my free speech on my own time. So you can tell the President that I said that he can go to hell.
Wow. That was, of course, still a globalist President Clinton at the time?
Yeah, that was still Clinton.
Yes, of course.
And so then they put more pressure, and finally he said, okay, finally he quit. He said, I will quit if you give me an honorable discharge. And they did, and so they kicked him out of the Army.
Mm-hmm.
That's one out of how many million? And there was one or two others but I've heard many veterans now who have told me that they shortened their career, or once their term was up, they decided not to re-enlist because they could see the handwriting on the wall. But it is a sad thing that not his commanding officers and his fellow enlisted men didn't immediately say, no, we won't go. That would be the great message to a president Clinton, who refused to serve in the draft when he was a young man, to send him a message to tell him, hell no, we won't go.
Let me 1 second interact, because I listen to everything. I would like to really give you not to you because you know, but this is the message for the listeners, especially new listeners that sometimes they're just still thinking that we're living in Kansas, like in the movie, oh, this is America. Nothing's going to happen here. It's already happened. Wake up. Seriously. Let me tell you, this didn't happen with Obama, okay? Obama was just the final little cherry on top of this terrible poisonous cake that we're all gonna eat. And this is gonna be pretty much like the last dagger in the heart of this republic. There is a plan that is not anymore some sort of hypothetical plan. It's already in full action. It's called the creation of global government, aka New World Order. The last thing that pretty much is between this final plan, it's America as a republic with our Bill of Rights, with things that these globalists cannot tolerate, because in the global New World Order, you're going to be no less than a cow, no less than a slave. Probably cows have more rights than you. So let me explain this exactly how it happened. What happened to Private New, there were just a little symptoms of what's happening right then. They don't want soldiers that they have the guts, the courage to stand for this republic. They don't want to have soldiers that will understand the Constitution and Bill of Rights and they're ready to die for. They want just soldiers like zombies, like drones, maybe to bribe them out, or more important, just to follow the orders. And this is so scary, my friends, because if you look at right now, the last few years, Mr. Obama, and I refuse to call him a president, you know that, he did purge more than 200 officers just in 5 years. And that was in 2013. Why? Look who are the people that they're purging. They're purging people like Private New, people who believe in this country, in this constitution, in the sovereignty of this country. Because at the end of the day, we're going to be left with a bunch of zombies ready to shoot us in the back if they have to, because they were just following orders. And they will embrace this new global government. Now, this is so serious, because every time now I listen to these still good people that they think that they're good. Guess what? If you still don't understand, every time we deploy a soldier in some foreign country, they are not defending the American interest. They are not defending America and its constitution. They are not defending our rights. Wake up. The last constitutional war that we had, if you believe in the Constitution, declared by Congress, was World War II. And please, Daniel New, correct me if I'm wrong, after that, since Korea was just another police force under the United Nations, and pretty much was just not even a conflict, a war, was just a conflict. I'm sorry if you're a soldier, I'm sorry if you served overseas in Iraq and all these different type of situations. Guess what? You are not serving America. There was a general, General Butler, the most decorated U.S. Marine probably of history. He said, we're supposed to have soldiers deployed to war, to go to war only for two reasons. To defend our borders and to defend our Bill of Rights, our rights in this country. So no, I'm sorry, my friends. You still believe that going there and maybe giving a limb, you come back, in a flag. This is not for America anymore. You're serving the United Nations. This is the fact. So I'm sorry to give you bad news, but this is the reality. And that's why I refuse to join the army, because I'm never going to serve a foreign government, more important, a global government that is exactly the opposite of what all America was founded upon. Please, Daniel, interact.
Amen, brother. You're absolutely right. It's a sad thing, because the press tells us today that our soldiers are defending freedom.
Yeah.
They're not defending freedom. They're promoting a new world order. And
Yes.
if they die, they're dying for the new world order. They're not dying for America. They're dying for a global government. And that is a sad thing, that we cannot convince Americans and look, I'm not questioning the patriotism or the sacrifice of the families and of the individuals who serve as individuals. I'm not being critical of the soldiers. A soldier is a soldier. He's a tool. He's a weapon. He's like a gun, and he's not negative or positive until he chooses to become so. You can use a gun correctly. You can use a gun incorrectly. Our soldiers are being used incorrectly.
Yes, and I agree with you. Listen, guys, when you go there, and I have a lot of friends. They found themselves in this situation. They signed the contract, and at that point, when they realize that there is a scam, they do it because first of all, they want to come back home alive, and then of course they have a brotherhood. They want to defend their own brothers and sisters, and that's the point. And there is nothing to take away from your courage and your spirit of sacrifice. But the reality is this one, guys. I have a lot of veterans friends that they come back, and it's almost hard for them to admit that what they were doing, they've been used. And they know that wasn't about freedom. They know that wasn't about defending our rights, because their rights, they were stolen meanwhile. Meanwhile, they were deployed overseas. They are stealing and raping our rights. They are raping our coffins. They are pretty much destroying this country. So they understand. And I understand also that for many of you guys, it's hard to admit it. Because after you give a limb, or after you get your post-traumatic stress, you pretty much, you gave your life or your health, and maybe your family get destroyed, your divorces happen because of all this stress. It's hard to admit that you're being, pretty much taken advantage of. And I understand, but there is no way we're gonna fix this problem until we admit the reality of the problem. And the problem, I have a little short video. It's about 3 minutes. This is from Leon Panetta. When he still used to be a Secretary of Defense, pretty much laughing at Congress, saying that he takes his authority from the United Nations. So when now we send soldiers to be deployed, to give their blood and risk their lives, this is not for America. This is because the United Nations, the global government, they completely the omega. We are the alpha, they are the omega. The exactly opposite principles of this republic. This globalist socialist cancer, we are dying for them. We are paying for them. Our billions of our tax dollars get extorted every year to feed these devils. And that's the best thing I can say over the phone, otherwise I would be fined by the FCC. So let me play this little thing of real life, because this is not just some sort of conspiracy, okay? And by the way, if you're a socialist, if you think that we're supposed to be part of a global plantation and United Nations is your God, that's fine. Enjoy the show and laugh at it if you want. But if you're an American in good faith, that you still believe that our soldiers, they're defending our country, wake up. Because you are part of the problem now if you don't wake up. Let me play this. I'm sorry, I'm getting mad.
United States. Do you think that you can act without Congress and initiate a no-fly zone in Syria without congressional approval?
Again, our goal would be to seek international permission, and we would come to the Congress and inform you and determine how best to approach this, whether or not we would want to get permission from the Congress. I think those are issues we would have to discuss as we decide what to do here.
Well, I'm almost breathless about that, because what I heard you say is we're going to seek international approval, and then we'll come and tell the Congress what we might do, and we might seek congressional approval.
No, well,
I want to just say to you, that's a big dish. Wouldn't you agree? You've served in the Congress.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree that would be pretty breathtaking to the average American? So would you like to clarify that?
But I've also served with Republican presidents and Democratic presidents who have always reserved the right to defend this country if necessary.
But before we do this, you would seek permission of the international authorities.
If we're working with an international coalition and we're working with NATO, we would want to be able to get appropriate permissions in order to be able to do that. That's something that all of these countries would want to have some kind of legal basis on which to act.
What legal basis are you looking for? What entity?
Well, obviously, if NATO made the decision to go in, that would be one. If we developed an international coalition beyond NATO, then obviously some kind of UN security resolution would be the basis for that.
Coalition of. So you're saying NATO would give you a legal basis, and an ad hoc coalition of nations would provide a legal basis?
If we were able to put together a coalition and were able to move together, then obviously we would seek whatever legal basis we would need in order to make that justified. I mean, we can't just pull them all together in a combat operation without getting the legal basis on which to act.
Well, who are you asking for the legal basis from?
If it's obviously, if the UN passed a security resolution as it did in Libya, we would do that. If NATO came together as we did in Bosnia, we would rely on that. So we have options here if we want to build the kind of international approach to dealing with the situation.
Well, I'm for all for having an international support, but I'm really baffled by the idea that somehow an international assembly provides a legal basis for the United States military to be deployed in combat. I don't believe it's close to being correct. They can provide no legal authority. The only legal authority that's required to deploy the United States military is the Congress and the President and the law and the Constitution.
Let me just for the record be clear again, Senator, so there's no misunderstanding. When it comes to the national defense of this country, the President of the United States has the authority under the Constitution to act to defend this country, and we will. If it comes to an operation where we're trying to build a coalition.
That's enough before my blood pressure starts to explode, This was Secretary Panetta, and the other gentleman was Senator Jeff Sessions. And the first time I heard that, I was speechless, but not really, because I already knew this. And I would like to ask now to every American who believes in sovereignty, who believes in freedom, who believes in the sacrifice our founding fathers did. If you don't understand what's going on right now, if you still believe that we are serving to defend our country, You heard just what this devil in suit just said. Secretary Panetta is just another little puppet. He knows very well what's going on. So all the generals behind him, laughing and smiling and smirking, they know because they've been bribed out. Because the best generals we had, all they left office, or they pretty much getting cut off, or maybe they died. Now, we need to wake up. Seriously, because if an immigrant like myself, former immigrant that pretty much still doesn't understand some principles of grammar, and my accent is kind of sometimes hard to understand, if I can get this information in my very simple brain, why not you guys, that you were born here, and maybe your fathers and mothers that were born here, and maybe your founding fathers were part of your generations, of your family heritage. Why don't you want to get this simple, basic concept? We've been conquered by the New World Order. And it's here. It's our job now to kick them out. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be negative. But we cannot kick them out. We cannot fix this problem until we realize we have a real problem. What can you articulate about this incredible 4 minutes, almost treasonous speech by former Secretary of Defense Panetta, Daniel New?
You know, it's not only a Democratic, but we have the same attitude, and the same policy was followed by George Bush in going to war in Iraq.
Oh, I agree with you. And his father, Mr. New World Order, they're a piece of trash. Go ahead, please.
So it's a bipartisan problem. Republicans and Democrats both believe that they can go to war under the authority of the Secretary General, starting, of course, with Harry Truman, but bringing us right up until today. Every military action except possibly one in Grenada, but everything under Reagan, but every other action has been without congressional approval or extra. And when I think it was Ron Paul who asked the Republican chairman of the House of Representatives, the Speaker of the House, we're going to go to war in Iraq. You have to have an article of war from this body. I propose a bill to a declaration of war, and Dennis Hastert ruled him down. He said, "This is a modern day, and we don't have to do it like that anymore." This is a congressman.
Yeah, the Congress that took an oath.
They all take an oath to the same Constitution. It's amazing.
Yes, this is treason, and I tell you guys, it's our duty to bring it back. This is happening because we don't get involved. This is happening because we don't want to have the courage to face the truth. This is no more the America that you dream or that you thought you grew up. Even then was changing. It changed a long time ago. It was a clear change. But for sure, now if you cannot see it, people used to laugh probably during the 80s or the 70s when the John Birch Society was trying to bring this information during the 60s. I understand. There was no internet and, you're still living in some sort of a fantasy land and everything was great after all. You live in America. Guess what? The monster was already pretty much infiltrating in our walls. They were taking position. Yeah. The Council of Foreign Relations, all these things that people used to laugh. They even big, radio shows, they even said, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theory, it doesn't exist." They were pretty much plotting in the darkness, infiltrating every position of office. Now, when you see that Obama is there, it didn't happen overnight. It was a long planned, staged event to destroy this republic from within. They needed a Trojan horse to get inside our walls. And they were set long time ago. Daniel New, tell us a little bit what's going on now with Mikey. In which part of the world is he? How is he doing? Is his family? Tell us a little bit about him, if you can.
Oh, he lives near Houston, Texas.
Okay.
And he works as an internet technician, specialist, troubleshooter, and has a job. He also has worked for a couple of different companies through the years, of course, working as a computer, running a computer-generated lathe that making specialized parts. So he has worked both as a technician and now as a computer guy. But he's got a job, and he's been to college. His wife has been to college, and they have 2 children, but he's very private. He does not want to come on the radio show, I'm sorry to say. So
no, that's fine. I understand, and I'm glad you're doing it because you know what? Doesn't matter. At this point, it's no more about Michael. It is about the example.
Oh, it's not about Michael.
It is about the message, about what is said, the seed that you think about it. Tell him this one. Make him really smile tonight when you talk to him. There is a guy who was even born here. That's myself, okay? I still have a pretty much thick accent. And, it's not exactly what you think, the typical example of, you think just a guy that came here. Guess what? What he did, Michael, with his example, with his act of courage and loyalty to this republic, he changed my life. He put me in a journey that pretty much transformed me what I am today. That's for me the most important thing. Sometimes we just do things. We don't understand the big plan because we are just humans. We think, our little action is limited to our little life. But we are like a domino effect. Michael, what it just did to me, in 1999, I could have been joined the dot lines and signed for a 4 years contract or so with the Army because, I was ready too old for the Marines. I was trying to apply for the Marine Corps. And then, think about it. If I was going to learn all this the hard way, they say, by the way, you got to put, your blue helmet and go to somewhere. And I would have told them, go to hell. I'm an American. I came all the way to America to become an American, not to be your slave. Guess what? I would probably end up...
That's just it. And, this is one of the things that Mike said to his officers. He said, listen, if they have the authority to make me wear that blue helmet in Macedonia or Africa, Iraq, then they have the authority to make me wear that blue helmet in Texas or Arizona or New York.
Exactly.
It's not a question of geography.
Exactly.
It's a question of authority.
Exactly. I would like to say something, especially for people that are new to this topic. Please, this is more important than you can imagine. This is exactly the roots of our problems. Today, what we are facing today, the dangers of global government, the destruction of our individual rights, that was one of the first symptoms. Now, there is a little book that for me I bought today, by the way, another copy just because I already have 2 copies. It's, you can find it on Amazon and maybe you can give us also your website if you sell it directly, by Daniel New. This book is called Michael New, Mercenary or American Soldier. There is you can buy a Kindle hardcover for 0.1 cents. You can buy a brand new one. Please, get this story. Read it. Share it with your family. Turn that stupid TV off for a few hours. Sit down with your family because we must pay tribute, in my opinion, to this American hero. And that's the way to do it. Reading about his sacrifice. Michael New must not be forgotten. And today I was Googling his name and I started to realize how all this is so scary and freaky because, who controls pretty much the technology now can rewrite history. And Google is part of the problem, in my opinion, because they're all controlled by, anyway, CIA, and this is not a conspiracy, you figure it out. But regardless, if you put now Michael New on Google, that's supposed to be, for me, first one, you start to have things about, now because it's coming out, but we have sports, Michael News goes to court, because now Google is picking up my little, different searches before. But before was everything but Michael New, the soldier. Was about many other Michael New out there. Now, there is not enough information anymore about this man, and we gotta bring him back, because this is going to be exactly the way we can stop all this evil doing. Because these wars, they're not just bad for the economy, for our tax dollar, for the moral values that we're killing innocent people. This is also bad for the destruction of this republic. As you heard before, we're pretty much now under global government. So, please get this copy of this book. By the way, Daniel New, where can people can they buy the book directly from you? I know you have a website. Can you give your website out, please?
Yes, MikeNew.com, MikeNew.com. It's very easy. They can buy the book there. They can get the video, which is pretty good. Right. They can also watch the video free on YouTube. Go look at it, and it's called Good Conduct.
Yes.
The story of Michael New, and if they haven't seen that, they need to. By the way, if you have a soldier or Marine or sailor or airman anybody who's in active duty in the military and they ask for a copy of the book or the video, we will send it to them free. We're not trying to get rich here. We're trying to get the word out.
Excellent. And I will post a permanent link I have on my website, lovegunsfreedom.com. There is a section called activism. Okay. Beside today's show, I will post a link with MikeNew.com. I will post a story there, a page dedicated to this story, this American story of Michael New with the link of the website, so you can see also the case, the legal documents, everything in the news, and of course you can donate. And more important, maybe you can buy a book to give to your fellow soldiers, or even the young man or young woman that is going to be ready to, in a good faith, ready to sign the dotted lines to join, like I was doing, 1999. I was ready, and I you know what? Don't get me wrong. This is not about if you don't join, you don't serve anymore America. You're going to serve now America more than ever if you stay here, if you become a citizen soldier. First of all, I realized the first thing my very simple brain, they want us away. They ship you, more patriotic you are, and fourth, they're going to send you around the world. The idiots, they keep them all here. That's pretty much my little analysis. Do you agree with me?
Oh, absolutely.
Because,
absolutely. Are you familiar with the organization called Oath Keepers?
Yes, of course, and I'm also a member. And
okay, well,
go ahead, please.
Stuart Rhodes told me that it was Michael New who inspired him to start that organization.
Wow, exciting. This is
so what an impact. And just because some people say maybe Michael has a stubborn streak, he's a little bit hard-headed. And my wife says that he got it from her because I still have mine. But in any case, just one soldier who has the guts, who has the courage to stand up and say no, even though every officer all the way up the line talked to him and said, you have to obey orders, you have to obey orders. He wasn't bothered by it. He just said, no, I'm not going to wear it. You can't make me wear it. He said, you can put me in jail. You cannot make me wear a blue hat.
Yes, no, he doesn't have to obey orders. And that's the problem. They try to reprogram the brains of our soldiers. They have to obey orders. I mean, think about it, Americans. If tomorrow, they're going to tell you, by the way, you must kill this fellow American because the law says so. I mean, after all, the Supreme Court case said that slavery was okay. Would have you followed that order? Or maybe Rosa Parker, you need to follow the order, policeman, because she's supposed to sit in the back of the truck. Would you follow the order? No, I would have not followed the order, okay? I don't follow these unconstitutional laws. And even if they say it's constitutional, I don't care, because it's against the godly laws, and more important, it's against the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence. Now,
at the end of World War II, Luca,
yes,
we hung some German officers whose only defense was, I was obeying orders.
Exactly. I have a dream, as a young American, as a new American. Maybe it's not going to happen in my life. I hope so, but regardless, we will fight till the end. The dream that we're going to take back this republic, and that we're going to write our book of history, or history book, and we're going to put people like Michael New, yourself, and other patriots out there, a special chapter, and all these globalist leeches. Let me tell you, really, I sometimes I enjoy saying names. Now I can't say so much because it made me feel better, at least. These traders, like Panetta, like the Bushes, like the Clintons, like, let me give you more names. I want to put them all down. I can't now. All these bastards that they're pretty much being paid off, or they sold their soul to the devil to destroy this republic and create this new world order. I wish to have a trial that day and be there on the first row with a pack of popcorn and laughing at them, and hopefully after this trial we're going to have justice. Because these people, they know what they're doing. They're not stupid. They're all part of a plan. And the plan is the destruction of this republic and the enslavement of the American people to make us all a bunch of global slaves like the rest of the world already they are.
Yes, I think some politicians are just stupid, but the power brokers, those who are really in power, this is no accident, and they're not stupid. They know what they're doing.
No, they're not. And this is all part of the plan. That's why they will use soldiers, United Nations soldiers, to keep the peace on U.S. soil in case there is any type of national emergency. And they will follow the orders. And probably most of our soldiers, they're going to be shipped out far away. So maybe we're going to have foreign troops. But at that point, it doesn't matter. Even if we have our soldiers, after they've been pretty much selected in the last 30 years, according to their IQ, most of the people that they keep here, they're pretty much below room temperature, their IQ, or just to follow orders because they're too afraid or they love so much their paycheck. We're going to have a bunch of freaking drones ready to shoot us in the back. And that's what they want. What do you think about this situation? That could be a martial law. Now we have all these executive orders, and pretty much they could use United Nations troops on U.S. soil to pretty much bring tyranny, complete tyranny.
Luca, with the help of Dr. Herb Titus, who is a constitutional attorney and scholar, we have created and crafted a piece of legislation, a bill. We call it the Citizen Soldier Protection Act, and we don't have a sponsor, but we have it on our website at MikeNew.com.
Okay.
And if anybody is interested in seeing that, and basically it doesn't go near far enough. I mean, we would like to see a bill to get us out of the UN, but you have to be realistic. What this little bill will do will make it illegal to force an American soldier to serve a foreign power against his will.
Yes.
Pretty simple.
Yes.
And that would put a roadblock in the front of the New World Order. If America can say no, then others will start following the example, especially if there's a law to support them. So we would love to find a sponsor. If any of your listeners know a congressman or senator who would like to introduce this bill, we need some help. It's going to have to come from the citizens because Washington, D.C. is not giving us any interest at all.
Yes, and the first way we can do this, we must understand, educate ourselves, and learn from each other. Because only when we understand what type of situation we live in right now, then we're going to say, okay, we got to call everybody we can, whatever congressman we can still find that pretty much is not corrupted, and he wants to try to learn and do it together the right way. Of course, guys, my honest opinion, I think that we pass right now the point of the federal, this seat's almost lost. It's a cancer in final stage. But regardless, we got to try. And at the same time, more important, we got to educate our communities, our counties, our county sheriff, our county deputies sheriff, and our fellow peace officers. And more important, our local government. We must understand that the United Nations is coming to knock at your door. It's called Agenda 21, and it's already here. Okay? Forget about being deployed under the United Nations. They're coming to us in our local legislation.
In your city and your county now.
Exactly. So we got to fight back starting from our own backyards. Seriously. Listen, Daniel, I really thank you so much again. And I would like to, first of all, before even we finish, I want to say something in front of you, in front of God, in front of my fellow Americans. I wasn't a soldier. I didn't have a chance I decided to become an American soldier. But when I became an American, I had to take an oath. I was happy to take. Pretty much similar to the American soldiers. And the oath is very simple. Pledging allegiance to this Constitution, to this United States of America. I don't call it the, I call it this. And more important, to the principle of freedom enunciated in the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence. And I swear this oath. Again, I renew it today in front of you in honor of your son and all the other soldiers who will refuse to follow unconstitutional orders and, more important, to obey to a global government and to serve under global government, aka United Nations. And my oath today is to defend this republic against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and more important also, as important, not more important, to stand against these bastards of the United Nations and the New World Order. So very simple, till my last breath. And I'm very serious. I'm so passionate about that. Normally my show, I'm pretty calm. But when I touch United Nations and global government, I became a beast. Seriously. And I want to thank you for that. Because you really inspire me too. Because you are the father bringing this message, reminding to all of us what your son did. We got...
and Luke,
go ahead.
Not only is Michael is an inspiration to you, but you are an inspiration to us because... look, I'm getting old. I'm not going to be around a lot longer, but it's so encouraging to see a new generation of resistance to the New World Order and a new generation that's growing up out there now. There's more people today who are awake than ever before.
Listen, thank you.
And you're a part of making that happen.
Thank you very much, my friend. And my best regards to Michael, and I will send you a package of my CDs. Meanwhile, I would like to play in honor of you and Michael and all the soldiers out there that they will stand against the New World Order. This song I wrote exactly in 2004. Get us out of the United Nations. Long live to the Republic, that to the New World Order. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Get us out of the United Nations. Get us out, we are a free nation. Get us out of the United Nations. Get us out, get us out. Yeah. weaponized, a Trojan horse of our time. UN's freedom from the war means they're gonna rule the world. Remember Congo, Rwanda, Kosovo. UN hates God. Yeah! Get us out of the United Nations. Get us out, we are a free nation. Get us out of the United Nations. Get us out, get us out. Get us out of the United Nations. Get us out, we are a free nation. Get us out of the United Nations. Get us out, get us out. Get us out of the United Nations. Get us out, we are a free nation. Get us out of the United Nations.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman,
I'm not afraid.
and a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth,
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna
I'm not afraid.
and his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Gianluca Zanna on Guerrilla Media Network. Here we go. This is hour number 2. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. This hour it's about guns. Guns, training, Second Amendment. But let me tell you guys, this is so important. Today I'm going to bring you back my friend and brother in freedom, Anthony Bosworth from Washington State. This is exactly after we explain exactly what's happening right now in Washington State and also what happened just a few weeks ago. This is very important because it's going to remind us why we need the Second Amendment, why we need to train. I don't have guns to go to the range for hobby. For hobby, I collect flowers or other stuff. This is a duty. More important is our final line in the sand that we have to defend this republic. Today is so important because, just watching a video that almost gave me chills in my back, but it is nothing new. In the Washington State, in front of the governor house, the main building of the Capitol, there was a huge Chinese flag flying, okay? Like happened also in California. I told you in the city of California last year. I forgot the name. But anyway, the point is it's happening more and more. I really believe we've been sold out by our politicians long time ago. And now the Chinese government pretty much has the moral authority in their brain because our politicians sold us out to keep us as collateral and so our resources. Anyway, let me get Anthony on the air because he can explain better what's going on. Anthony Bosworth, are you there?
I am, Luca, and it's good to be back.
Very glad. I'm so excited that even through your, drama, I was able to meet you and meet your family, even through the internet and become Facebook friends and see all the things that you're doing there with your fellow patriots. Please, can you give us an update, first of all, what's going on right now exactly with this Chinese flag in the Capitol there in Washington State?
Well, what happened there, Luca, is we got a call last night and got alerted that there was a communist China flag flying in a place of honor at our state capitol, and we couldn't believe it, and they sent us pictures, and we were just shocked. Wow. And so what we did is we actually contacted one of our local sources here in the Capitol and had them run over there and check to make sure that it was still there. And probably about 10:30 last night, 10 o'clock last night, we get a call back and they said it was still flying on our Capitol. And so we kicked into overdrive, started getting a hold of Patriots and our team and everything. And to be honest with you, Luca, we had planned to coming over to the Capitol and removing the flag and burning it. I mean, we do not believe in a communist flag flying at our Capitol in a position of honor. And we were just shocked. And we found out that the governor was entertaining an ambassador from communist China. And so they were flying in a flag in honor of him. This is a country, China, that doesn't respect human rights and doesn't respect religious freedoms. And yet our governor here, he has barred all state employees from going to Indiana because Indiana is passing of the Religious Freedom Act over there. But yet he'll allow China to fly their communist flag in our capital. And so we deployed last night, and a lot of us got here around 4:30 this morning here at the Capitol, and we waited. Excuse me. We waited until the time was right, and we went over and proceeded to see how we were going to remove the flag. And it was type where the cable goes up the center of the flagpole, so we couldn't get to the ropes to lower the flag. So we're sitting there investigating the pole, trying to figure out how we were going to remove the flag. And uphold the state patrol officer wanted to know what was going on, and we brought his attention to this communist flag flying above our Capitol. And him being a veteran, he was upset too. He couldn't believe it. He was shocked.
Great. I'm glad at least a police officer there. I mean, I saw the video, by the way, and I will post this video on www.lovegunsfreedom.com today's show. So finally, who gave the order to remove this flag?
Well, what ended up happening is that state patrolman ended up calling and waking up his lieutenant and his sergeant. And we were standing right there when he told them that they need to get down here and find somebody to remove this flag immediately, or else the American patriots were going to get upset, and it was going to turn out ugly before the end of the day if they didn't get down there now and remove it. And within an hour, they had the guy down there to remove the flag.
Wow. This is so important, Anthony, and you know that. That's why you were doing that with your family and your fellow patriots. This is so important. This is a test. This is like when a thief tries to test your defenses of your home. Start to drive around and start to see if you're really a zombie or if you're awake. That's what the Chinese government is doing. That's what our sold-out politicians are doing. They want to see how many fellow Americans, they are still ready to stand up for this republic. Because we've been sold out. And when they start to see, you know very well, you were a veteran, okay? I didn't serve in war, but I did some military school in my past. And the point is, when you have a foreign country, like a country anyway that we know that this is not our friend, they pretty much own us, our debt. And more important, as you said, this is a country that is against human rights, is against religious freedom, a country that pretty much has been financing the wars during Vietnam, the many bullets that were killing our fellow Americans down there. So now my point is, this country, the moment that they raise that flag in the position of honor, in that type of political stance, this is like a sign of conquerors, okay? I mean, they pretty much say, we are here and we own this place. And the moment that people like you start to say, no, you're not here, because we are here, they are last line of defense. And it's amazing that this flag went down so fast, honestly, because after all, this is something from the governor office order, I guess, right?
We would think so. We can't confirm that, but all we know is that our only contacts is through the State Patrol, which we've dealt with before. We have a good relationship with them, and they knew that we would be there until it come down, and if they didn't remove it, we would, and we would have done it by force if we had to.
And this is glad to see, at least, we have still good people among our peace officers, and I call them peace officers, not law enforcement. Like, for example, this state trooper that I see here, that pretty much is the one that is trying to communicate with his superiors, that this flag must be removed. I mean, he's not happy either, right? I mean, he wasn't happy about this.
No, he wasn't happy at all. I mean, the look on his face, he couldn't believe that it was a communist flag there. I mean, once we told him, he got out of his car and he looked, and I mean, it was that awestruck when you look at his face when he realized when the wind picked up and it blew that flag open where he could see it was the communist flag. And I mean, you could see the sick feeling that just went across him. I mean, he was really moved by it.
Yes, and you know very well that this is nothing new. I mean, this is now it's happening maybe for the first time in your Washington State Capitol, but at the White House, just a few years ago, last year, if I well remember, same story. The big Chinese flag was rising there. And you know very well about the Chinese piano player, a classic player that he was invited at the White House, and he was playing pretty much music against, like propaganda music from the Communist Party against the American people. I mean, we have a man acting as the president in the White House that for Christmas, I think about 3 or 4 Christmases ago, at the White House Christmas tree, he had the Christmas decoration balls for the decoration of the Christmas tree with Mao Zedong. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I actually am.
Yeah, so that's the point, guys. Nothing new. I mean, listeners, this is not just some sort of a crazy moment happening in Washington State. It's happening almost everywhere. So that's what I'm saying, guys. This hour is about guns. Normally we talk about training, but let me give you this one. This episode, this event that you just heard, and I want you to verify, you watch with your own eyes what's happening. It's supposed to give you a little more motivation to this morning, Sunday, or whenever you get a chance to start to really understand that the rifle that you have there in your safe, that's not for hunting deers. Okay? That maybe could be, but that's just for extra. The real reason we have this rifle, because we are the watchers who's gonna watch our watchers. Because we are the last line of defense. If it wasn't for you, Anthony, and you had a handful of fellow patriots, the flag would have made a point and would have stayed there. And in China, they would have said, yes, the American people, they are really a bunch of zombies. Instead, thanks to you, no. The message was sent today was different. Anthony, tell us a little bit about what happened after pretty much you got released. You were falsely arrested because you were exercising your Second Amendment right in front of the federal building on the public parking space, the public area. And then you got released, and then you had some sort of a rally that you organized there, and I follow on YouTube. Tell us a little bit about the update about that, please.
Well, after that first rally you're speaking of, is where I got arrested and everything, is once I got released and everything, because the sheriff stepped in and the militia stepped in and got me released, we went back a week later, and this time we didn't just go back armed. We went armed and locked and loaded. We actually had loaded weapons this time, and we come back in larger numbers. And we dared them to try it again. And when we come onto the land there, the Homeland Security asked us not to. They met us at the border and told us that we couldn't, and we told them to step aside. We were going to, and we took the yard again, and this time no one was arrested. The Homeland Security and the federal marshals went back into the building, and they stayed there. Yes, they had several sets of snipers on us all day long, and they probed us with federal agents and trying to gather information and everything. But the point is they wrongfully and illegally kidnapped and arrested and interrogated under NDA an American citizen. And the patriots in Washington stood up and went back in larger numbers this time and told them they will not do it again. And we're here in force to ensure that they won't do it again. And that's what that's kind of our game plan here in Washington State, is we go by, if they take an inch, we take a mile back. So if you arrest one of us for doing something that's legal, we're going to come back in larger numbers with more people and tell you you're not going to do it. No. And it's been working for us every time.
And this is the only way we're going to stop this. You're right. This is exactly, they want to see, they're like rabid dogs, okay? The dog pretty much try to nip on your butt. And if he sees that you don't react, next time he will go for your throat. It's as simple as that. And that's why, guys, it's so important, listeners. We don't want violence. We want to avoid violence. But at the same time, we must defend our rights and our person and our dignity as Americans. And we got to organize now, because they will come around like a pack of coyotes, and they will try to get us one by one. And the moment that we stick together, and we show that we are not afraid, at that point, we will see who is really right. And Anthony, by the way, what's happening with your rifle? I know your rifle got confiscated the first time that you were arrested. Did they give it back to you?
Yes. No, they haven't given it back to me. They refused to give it back to me. They got my rifle and my sidearm, and neither will they give back to me. I've got a court date coming up on the 25th, I believe it is, and to get to challenge their failure to comply ticket. They give me a citation for failing to comply. They have yet to tell me what I failed to comply with. Their initial law they said I broke. They have realized that law, that they're the ones who broke the law.
Mm-hmm.
We had a federal judge that actually tried to extend the law illegally, and in doing so, her herself has broken a federal law, a law that since I was kidnapped and since they used snipers against us, that could put them at risk of a death penalty by federal law.
Wow, my gosh. Listen, you're a veteran, and you know what's going on now also with the Jade Helm 15 happening in the next couple months, July and August 2015, in almost 10 states. From your point of view, from your experience point of view, when you were serving in the Army, did you ever could believe that this type of training in mass scales could happen on American soil, designed in some of our states as enemy?
Well, you know, that's kind of a mixed one, because while I served in the military, I participated in some things like that, you know, down at Katrina during the national disaster down there, and that was my big turnaround, you know, and then I trained for riot control there in 2000, and so I know the training goes on, but we never actually put it into effect. But the mass scale they're talking about now, I mean, that's invasion. You know, the Army does not have authority to do that on American soil. They have training areas all over the world and all over this country for that kind of stuff. There's absolutely no need or no call for it in our communities. There's just none. It puts everybody at risk. It puts everybody on a higher tempo. It just doesn't look right. You know, there's something wrong. There's something going on there.
Exactly, Anthony. You know,
even if it,
go ahead.
Even if it's just getting people used to seeing the military acting like police force, and the police force is acting like the military and intermingling on our streets to get us used to it so we accept it. Even if it's just that, it's wrong. You know, it violates our Constitution. It violates every thread of who we are.
Exactly. And this is my point, guys. You know, listeners, we're not talking about here, we're not a bunch of hippies and we hate, you know, our soldiers. No, we understand that these soldiers now, they've been used as pawns to pretty much destroy this republic, okay? Because I'm here in the last 16 years as a new American, just learning and seeing all these things. This is something never happened before, okay? I mean, guys, this is exactly what happened in Germany in 1934 when Hitler transformed the republic from a republic into a new nightmare, not just for the American people, for the German people, but also for the rest of Europe and the world. So that's what we are facing, in my opinion, especially when we put together, Anthony, all the other elements that we know. Who do we have right now sitting in the White House? Who do we have right now as pretty much the Secretary of Homeland Security and all the different key positions in the executive? Who do we have right now thinking about that we have all this militarization of police and these billions of rounds and armored vehicles? I mean, we put all these pieces together, and this July and August, this J-Down 15 doesn't seem so just something just like a training. Anthony, what's going on today? Pretty much the flag is down, the day is over. Are you going to be down for the day?
Well, actually, now the flag is down. We actually met up at a local bakery where we normally meet up, and we're having breakfast and some coffee because it was pretty cold out. And so we're sitting around the table now and just talking over plans, you know, what we did good, what we did bad, how we could improve it, you know, just, you know, we're going to go back home. We were actually scheduled to be over in at a rally right now as we speak on the other side of the state, but we had to change that at the last moment and take half of our people and come to this side of the state and send the other half of our people to the other side of the state to meet the, you know, our requirements over there. And so, you know, right now, you know, we've got Oath Keepers and we got LFA, you know, on both sides of the state, and we got Patriots on both sides of the state doing two rallies at once. You know, one popped up and we had less than, you know, just a few hours to put it together, and then drive, 4 hours across from the center of the state to the other side to, you know, get this done. And so, you know, being a patriot, I mean, keeps us busy. I mean, we don't have time for much. I mean, our government has become so corrupt. It's become a full-time job fighting corruption.
I know, and this is exactly what they want. They want you distracted. They want you busy to do other things. And at that point, by default, they win. The moment that we surrender, that we give up, they win. And we can't surrender. We can't give up. Listen, I want to say thank you again, and my best to your wife and your family and all the fellow patriots there. And please keep us posted, because this is, unfortunately, it's not just happening in Washington State. It's happening in many other parts of the states. The problem that not enough people, maybe, they are aware and they're ready to point it out and they're ready to stop it. That's the problem. So, guys, please, everybody's listening to this broadcasting, even in the future through the internet. If something like that happens in your town or your county or in your state, keep us posted through the internet, because we must be aware exactly what's going on. Anthony, thank you very much, my friend.
Thanks again, Luca. And, you know, we're doing what we can. We're doing the best we can. We keep going forward. And, you know, that's how we do it. And, you know, you're doing your part. We're doing our part. And we're working together. And, you know, God bless America. And may we pass liberty and freedom on to our children.
Very good. Thank you.
Americans, let's show these bastards that we are not afraid.
Here we go, we are back. That was Red Wave, music and lyrics by myself, Luca Zanna. And guys, this is a very important show. As I said, you know, the second hour is about guns. training, but sometimes we need to remember why. I mean, this is not a sport, okay? This is not a hobby. Look what's happening into our country. I mean, everywhere. The situation in Washington State. I mean, this is more than you think. It is the flag. It's the symbol of conquering, okay? We very well know China, how many trillions of dollars they pretty much control us with the debt. So anyway, guys, we gotta train. We gotta prepare spiritually. We gotta prepare physically. And training is important. Now we're in the second hour of the show, Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna, and we talk about guns. First of all, I wanted to say a little bit about what I wanted to talk here today. We will talk about shotgun. I mentioned before, the pistol, the handgun, is to defend your person. The shotgun is to defend your castle. And of course, rifle is to defend liberty. Now, the shotgun is something can be very important. It's a very powerful tool, by the way, if used in the right scenario. I will talk to you. I will start this sort of, in the next couple of shows, we will go through several shotguns to try to share with you my humble opinion, what is the best shotgun for the money for your situation. Remember, everybody's different, okay? Everybody also has different budgets. So the bottom line is you want to find something that works, that is reliable, and also it works for your body type. I'm not an expert in the sense I'm not a professional teacher or instructor, but I am more than the average guy, let's put it this way. I call myself an humble professional student in everything. And normally, of course, I prefer the rifle. Rifle for me is the number one instrument. You know, I have a handgun because I can fight my way to the rifle. Shotgun, don't get me wrong, shotgun in the right situation, it's an incredible tool. You also have a lot of variety of type of ammunition that you can use. It's very versatile. Now, let's start with that. Today, I wanted to bring with you, four different type of shotguns, okay? First of all, I said the number one shotgun I would like to talk, and we'll start with this today. It is the Mossberg 590. Then, of course, I wanted to bring to you the next show, or maybe even today, I don't know if I'm going to make it on time, the Remington 870. They are the two foundations, pretty much, the two foundations, the two schools, the two different platforms that they are American basic shotgun, solid and proven. Now, then we're going to start to get a little fancier. I wanted to talk to you, for example, about the SAIGA. It's a Russian shotgun, semi-automatic, with the magazine. I mean, it's incredible shotgun. I have that too, and we will talk about that. And then we will go, of course, to the exotic shotgun that I did a little YouTube video. You can go and find out on YouTube, on my channel. It's called the UTASH 15. Yeah, it's a very compact bullpup shotgun, 12 gauge, and it pretty much you can load it with 14 rounds, 14 shot shells plus one in the chamber. It's amazing shotgun, but is it really worth it? The money? It is really something you can put your life in that shotgun in case you need to defend your life. We will prove it, and I think it has some very great points, and also. Let's start anyway with my favorite shotgun. Let's cut it off, okay? My favorite shotgun that I have here in front of me. Let me just double check. Chamber check. Mag check, okay? It's the Mossberg 590 A1. And specifically, because there are different variations, okay? Just to let you know, this specific shotgun that I'm talking about, if you go to the to the website, mossberg.com, you can see it. It is called the 590 A1 SPX, okay? What does it mean? Well, let's start first of all. It is the 590 in general. It is the military grade, okay? This type of Mossberg, the 590, it pretty much pass, okay? The test of a military test, okay? Now, let me tell you exactly what it means, okay? We have a lot of variation. For example, the typical Mossberg, normally you can get, at, let's say, Big Five or any type of shop. The basic model is the model 500. Don't get me wrong. It's a great shotgun, okay? It has been working for lifetime, okay? This 500 model, I think you can pretty much rely your life on that. But there is, of course, the version 590 and also the 590 A1, okay? They are upgraded version, okay? For example, the model 500, has a plastic trigger guard and safety. and a standard barrel, okay? Instead, the 590A1 has an aluminum trigger guard and safety, an heavier barrel, and also a bayonet lug, okay? And is intended for military use under extreme conditions and rough handling. The metal trigger guard was added in response to the 344 3G materials doors. Anyway, some 590A1 have also sling swivel on the back. Now, the 590A1 is generally sold through military and law enforcement channels, but you can get it now pretty much on every, good gun dealer, okay? Now, why I like the 590, why I like especially the 590A1, okay? Once you buy the shotgun, you pretty much, every shotgun is going to last you a lifetime, okay? The model that I have here exactly in front of me, it is the 590A1 SPX, okay? And it's a 12 gauge, 9 shot, and you have 20 inches barrel, okay? Now, you have also interesting M16 style front sight, I like that, with a ghost ring as a rear sight, and you have also bayonet, of course, something that you may say, why do I need that? But guess what? It's interesting to have it because you never know. You may run out of ammo. Now, what I like also, all the barrel finish is all Parkerized, okay? It is not exactly super light. I mean, we're talking about 7 pounds and 25, or almost 7 pounds and enough, okay? And the overall length, okay, it's like 41 inches. It's not exactly compact. But this shotgun is the shotgun that I would put my life on it. It's reliable. I can pretty much go through every type of ammunition. I don't need to worry about, what type of ammunition am I using? Is it going to cycle or not? Pretty much I can eat everything. All I care is that there is powder in the shot shell and there is a primer that works, okay? Now, this is the one I would suggest you. Now, the point is every one of us has a different body type. Every one of us also has a different budget. First of all, when it comes down to a shotgun, since we're not talking about thousands of dollars, I would suggest you to spend the money once and pretty much be over, okay? So don't waste, don't chip around for maybe an extra couple $100 to get something that after you will pretty much say, wow, why I didn't spend all the money I needed to do it. So if I could give you my humble opinion, yes, if that's all you can afford is a Mossberg 500, that's fine. The next step would be get the 590. You can get the 590 at even a Big 5. They used to have a great specials for about $350, something like that. And there is the 590. You will see there is a heat shield, there is a bayonet lug, and they are pretty much great. But if you get the 590A1, okay, you will see that first of all, as I was telling you before, there is no more plastic. It's all metal. Even the safety, the trigger guard, and the barrel itself, it's all different standard, okay? Let's not forget, this 590, the 590A1, it passed the test. It passed the test. It was in pretty much a 3,000 rounds torture test, okay? And that was for the U.S. Marine Corps. I mean, it's something that we should look into it. That would be my favorite shotgun to pretty much to put my life on it, okay? Now, what type of gauging? I mean, if we want to talk about self-defense, especially also for availability of ammunition, you want to be sure that you can find them anywhere, every type of normally gun shop or Walmart or wherever you buy your ammo, you find a 12 gauge. So I would say, if you have to get one shotgun only, please stick with the 12 gauge. Now, yes, I sometimes say, if you are a woman, if you are a man that maybe is a smaller size and you think recoil can be a problem, you can look also, of course, at the 12 gauge, a 20 gauge. But remember, there are also other options. Think about it. You can pretty much, there are, for example, low recoils slugs. There are low recoils buckshots. There are also bird shots. I mean, let's say you want a shotgun, okay, that you want to have ready in your household in case you need to take care of business. Of course, you also want to be aware of overpenetration. So don't be shy to think that a bird shot would not do the job, especially when you are between 10 and 15, feet, 20 feet. I mean, think about a bird shot. Even a number 7, number 8, at that close of distance, going to have enough power to pretty much knock everything down. And of course, then you can go down to other type of, situations like number 4 or number 5. I mean, there are a lot of options. That's why I like shotgun. You can pretty much or have this sort of availability and flexibility in type of ammunition. Now, what I would like to say a little bit about the shotgun. If the model 590 or even the 500, I mean the full size, the one I'm talking about, the 20 inches barrel, okay? Like for example, let's say you settle for the 590 with 20 inches barrel. It is pretty long, okay? I mean, it's incredible shotgun, but it's kind of heavy. Yes, you got 9 rounds, but it's kind of a heavy shotgun, because I'm telling you, you got also this long barrel, 20 inches barrel. Guess what? There are options. If you are a shorter person, maybe a woman, okay, I would invite you to look into, for example, the one that is a little shorter barrel, like the 18.5 inches barrel. Yes, you have a little bit less of ammunition inside. You have a 6 rounds capability, okay? But guess what? It's going to do the job, and more important, you can pretty much adjust that to your body type. So that would be my main advice or humble opinion. Stick with the 12 gauge, because after all, you can always change the type of ammunition you play around. You can find good low recoils. Don't be intimidated by the recoil of the shotgun. Techniques is very important. I mean, if you train with a shotgun and you train properly, recoil is not going to be such a hard thing. Don't forget, you're not going to shoot shotgun like 500 rounds a day. Okay? I mean, you're not training to become a SWAT team or some special operation guy. You want to train to be comfortable and to be safe, and more important, to be proficient. So you can handle, for sure, let's say 50, 60 rounds at the range with your shotgun. And let me tell you something. You can do most of your work, especially when you want to cycle. You want to do it, and I invite you to do it, dry practice. I talked in the past, in the show, about the importance of dry practice training, okay? And let me tell you, shotgun, rifle, handgun, you should all dry practice. Not only you saving thousands of dollars of ammunition, but you can also do and ingrain in the right way, the right way to do, for example, to cycle in the pump, to also do every operation from loading, unloading, changing ammunition. I mean, it's incredible how much you can accomplish dry practice in a shotgun. And I think shotgun probably deserves a lot of good attention when it comes down to training. It is not just something you have there. You put in your, the bed, the corner of your bedroom and think, okay, I got my shotgun, I'm ready to go, and my house is safe. No. Shotgun, I tell you, no matter if it's semi-auto, but especially more the pump, okay, the hand pump, you really need to be able to cycle the shotgun under stress in a way that you must do it. And remember, you have also limited ammunition. This is not like you have a Glock 17 with 17 rounds, or you have, 30 rounds magazine of AK-47. You have limited ammunition, okay? Most of the time, probably you do maybe a couple of rounds, but you never know. Maybe your home invasion may be a bunch of rats coming in. It's not just one. So also be able and practice how to do tactical reload and also emergency reload. That's a very important thing. Now, a thing that normally, you hear when you go around gun shops or other situations, other places, if you got somebody that coming to your home, all you have to do is this noise. Sorry, guys, I don't want to sound rude, but that's very stupid. It's very tactical, not practical, not safe. I mean, not a smart thing to do, okay? Not a savvy thing to do. I mean, first of all, my shotgun is already around in the chamber, unless I have a way that I put it away, because it is not my primary weapon. If this is my primary weapon, I have already around in the chamber, safety on, okay? And at that point, the last thing I want to do, if I have to face an invasion, home invasion, or some evil people coming to my house, I don't want to make noise. I don't want to give them the heads up that I'm there. This sort of click movie, that, sound from the movies. All it's going to do is going to give you a position away and you're going to get shot, okay? Now, stealth is a tactical advantage, so please don't forget that. Now, and as I said, you need to understand the shotgun can have a lot of advantage if you are in a good basic position or defensive position in your house, but also you must be careful because you have, especially if you have the 20 inches barrel, it's something easier can be snagged from you, you don't want, especially when you move around the house, you must train to move with a shotgun that that you want to take these corners in a way that you're not going to be taken by surprise, and they can pretty much grab your shotgun, can grab your barrel, okay? So you should train. Now, one thing I would like to tell you also about the shotgun, I'm not here to sponsor anybody because, I'm not here to endorse anybody. I like the Mossberg 590 because I really mean it, and I like it, and specifically, as I said, I like the 590A1 SPX, okay? Because I have, especially with the rear sight, this ghost ring, and the front sight is like pretty much the front sight an M16. I can also use slugs. Slugs, they're probably the one most powerful tools we have as civilians. Think about it. You have an ounce of lead, and also can be steel, because some slugs, you can find them steel, okay? That is going to come down at a pretty much super speed, considering the sights, and you can knock down through walls, cars. Talking about the government is afraid about the 5.56. I tell you something, guys. They underestimate the power of the shotgun. Of course, you have limitation, as I said. And when I say government, I'm not saying the good government. I'm talking about the global government. I'm talking about the evil people who wants to destroy our Constitution, okay? I'm always here to support our peace officers and our statesmen that will pretty much are upholding the oath to our constitutions and our Bill of Rights, okay? That's pretty much the story. But at the same time, anybody who wants to disarm us, I declare him an enemy of this republic. Now, price-wise, I tell you where you can find good prices. And as I said, this is an humble research that I did. You can find, of course, I always say try to support, if you can, your local gun shop. It's a good way. But sometimes, local gun shops, some, not all, they maybe have, prices not exactly competitive. There are a lot of places out there you can buy shotguns. cheaperthandirtnow.com is a great place. Bud's Gun Shop, I like it a lot. They used to have great prices. And also you were able to also do, a couple of years ago, to have a G card, like a credit card. And you could have able to buy, for example, everything over $500, like 6 months interest-free. So that's something to consider. Now, let's talk a little bit about shotgun that I would like to talk to you next Sunday. It's going to be the Remington 870. And we will go through the differences between the Remington 870 and also the Mossberg 500 or 590. Or 591. One thing I really like about the Mossberg 590 or 500 in general, it is the safety, okay? For example, the safety, it is exactly something very intuitive, and it's very easy to access with your thumb, because it's on top, pretty much, and I'm moving it right now. And all you have to do, to get your gun hot, you have to do just push forward the safety. And I like it because you don't need to put your finger close to the trigger guard, like you do normally with your Remington 870. So this is something that to consider, and especially under stress, you should think that under stress you want to be simple as possible. So I like the Mossberg 500 or 590 because your safety is pretty much just push forward and boom, you're ready to go. Now, one other thing I would like to say about shotgun, ammunition, like everything you have, every gun you have, you should be ready to have ammunition. Look around, stock up. They're never enough, okay? And don't underestimate the burst shots. When you buy ammunition for shotgun, you should pretty much do a good mix between, of course, defensive loads like double O, the back shots, okay? You can still find decent deals. I just got like a couple of weeks ago, on Midway, like 250 rounds. I forgot which brand. It was Spartan, I guess, Spartan brand. Anyway, they work great. I mean, between 0 and from 5 to 25 yards, they work great. 250 rounds of 00 buckshots for about $75, okay, plus shipping. Not bad at all, considering that prices went up everywhere. Then also you need to consider the slugs, okay? They're very important. Now, like I said, there is a round for every situation, you know. I mean, the buckshots can be very important in some situation, and the slugs can be very important in other situation. Now, don't forget about overpenetration. We're talking about a tool that is devastating. I mean, even just with a regular buckshot, that is not exactly regular, you have 9 rounds, okay? They're pretty much, all you need to get 1 round in you that is pretty much in the wrong part of your body can be devastating. But you're going to get 9 rounds of pretty much lead in you at the size of 38 special almost, okay? I mean, this is something not to play around. A mistake with a handgun, if it's not in a vital place, you can handle it. I mean, don't get me wrong, you never want to do mistakes, but they are negligence mistakes. But a shotgun is not forgiving. I mean, even just you shoot yourself in a foot, your foot is gone. So I just invite you guys, get training, please, okay? Don't think just because you buy a shotgun and you got some ammunition, you are pretty much now a safe gun owner. I would suggest you to be humble, to go around and look for somebody that can train you or invest some money in training, okay? That's what I would like to say. Now, people say, hey, you should have a semi-automatic. Yes or no. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like semi-automatic. That's why I have my SAIGA 12 that I can put even 20 rounds magazine, okay? But the problem is with semi-automatic, you know, first of all, you must be sure that you have a semi-automatic shotgun that pretty much is completely reliable, okay? Because, and to be reliable, it is not just something that you have to do with a shotgun. It's also very important the type of ammunitions. Some shotgun, they may like some ammunition, some other, they don't, okay? So, something to consider. And you need, of course, the training, even there. I know that my Mossberg 590, when I'm in pretty much fit in train, you know, because it takes time, you know, if you don't train for months, you know, you need to warm up a little bit, okay? But when I'm pretty much tuned up with my Mossberg 590 A1, I can pretty much keep up with a semi-automatic, okay, the way I cycle it, because I'm familiar and I'm comfortable with that. So that's the point. It's really worth to spend the extra money and to have some extra little stress to get this semi-auto shotgun. I say yes or no. Depends on you. Now, some prices. I'm here right now on Bud Gun Shop, and I was looking, for example, budgunshop.com, and I was looking, for example, there is this Mossberg 590 A1, okay, parkerized, exactly is going right now for $545. If you buy cash, it's $530. Not bad, okay, not bad. It's incredible shotgun. I would say, my humble opinion, get one of these. If you're a little bit smaller size, get the one with the 18.5 inches barrel. That's pretty much the story. Now, what else? We were talking about shotgun. We're talking about ammunition. How much ammunition? How many ammunition? As I said, guys, as much as you can afford. Because now times are still somehow okay, but things gonna go up. The inflation is rising. So if you have extra money, don't waste them for other, you know, it's up to you. Priority, you know, as you say, you want to go to that special coffee place and give them for the dirty water that you're going to drink. I mean, make your coffee at home and you save a lot of money. You think you can enjoy maybe family time or coffee at home and you don't need to pay that overpriced Starbucks or whatever it is and buy ammunition. Shot shell, as I said, how many? Mix them up. Loaded them up mostly on the 00 buckshots. And of course, don't underestimate at least a couple of hundreds, at least, of slugs, okay? Because remember, it is not just what you have stashed there. You want to have extra ammunition that you also train with. And then, of course, the bird shots. Honestly, what I like to do, or what I used to like to do when I had, a little time to go to Walmart, or every time I used to go to Walmart, even now, prices went up, but when I can, every time I go to Walmart and I find a good deal on bird shots, buy at least a box, okay? Bird shots. guess what? They're good for many purposes. First of all, excellent for training. You don't want to train every time with 00. It's a waste of money. First of all, you want to cycle dry, and then, of course, you want to do dry practice, and then when you want to start to do some bang, some recoil, start with the burst shots. And then don't forget, the burst shots, they can be great in defensive situation in close environment, and also in safe way, because let's say you have some worry about over-penetrating your walls. I mean, the way to go, using burst shots. And don't forget, in moment of survivals, I mean, if you really need to look for food, even a regular defensive shotgun, okay, that you don't need to have any special choke, guess what? You can get your dinner and your lunch with a shotgun, some bird shots, okay? You can get rabbits, you can get a lot of little animals, okay? So it's something, you don't want to blast them up with a 00. I mean, so that's the point. So I would say if you could, at least get 1,000 shot shells or bird shots, 500 00, at least back shots, and 250 slugs. And that's my minimum for every shotgun I like to have. Now, I hope I was enough about that. I was enough clear, more important. And as I said, guys, if you like a 20 gauge or 410, that's fine, okay? All I say, remember, that 12 gauge is the standard. Pretty much anywhere in America, in any gun shop, you can find 12 gauge shot shell, okay? And but if you want to go 20, I used to shoot a 20 gauge when I was probably 12 years old. I still remember that in Italy. I was a little painful because I was a young guy and, of course, but it was fun. Now, let's talk about something else because, as I said, we need to look also a little bit into what's going on with training with the pistol. I am pretty much almost finished to write my first book. It's going to be an ebook, but also ready to be published as paper book. And the name is Defensive Handgun Training with Luca Zanna. Okay. I'm not an instructor, as I said, but I'm a professional student. I'm a distinguished graduate to several classes at front sight, and I try to learn from everybody. My humble attitude is to learn from everybody who knows more than me. And my only goal was writing this book. And by the way, you can find also free chapters on my website, handguntraining.tv. It is pretty much to share with you, my friend, my law-abiding American who really wants to have the tools to be able to defend your family, yourself, and your freedom to learn more, okay? Not everybody can afford to go to a school. I mean, front sight, it's a great school, and I talk about on this show about other great schools, okay? I promote them all, okay? I don't get paid by them. I want to bring you the best. And you can choose what is best for you according to your budgets and your distance. At the same time, I realize times are really tough. Not everybody can even drive to go all the way to a school sometimes and maybe leave behind the family and business for a few days, okay? So, or taking time off from work. So that's why I got this book. It's pretty much all the curriculum that you go through the 4 days handgun class, defensive handgun class. It is considered like a basic class, but I tell you, this basic curriculum, that is pretty much the number one class that you have to start if you do handgun class at front sight. It is pretty much, if you go around the range or the ranges and you talk with the average gun owner, they could even graduate out of this. So it's a lot of great information. Now, today what I want to talk to you about, and I also will post this on my blog on the website handguntraining.tv. It's called Chamber Check, Magazine Check, okay? I mean, right now, what I'm doing right now, I am getting my Glock that I have here, and I'm performing a chamber check and a magazine check. Why? First of all, always point the gun in the safe direction when you do that, okay? Now, let's start to think about this. You leave in the morning, you go to work, and you dress, you get your gun, if you carry a gun. For example, in Arizona, I carry my gun every day I get up. And it's not even about thinking, today I'm going to wear the gun. It's come with my pants, with my belt, with my holster. And what I do, though, every morning, I always want to perform a chamber check, a magazine check. Why? After all, last night, I did the same. Well, it's called Few seconds, cheap insurance, okay? And it's very simple, because you're going to pretty much be sure that in your gun, in your handgun, it is pretty much in the position that is going to guarantee that there is a round, and it's going to go bang instead of click. Many times happen, maybe that people, they just, you just try to chamber the gun, and you think that you did a good chambering the gun, and then maybe sometimes mistakes happen. I mean, it's human. And there is no round in that gun. So let's say for a moment that you really need to go to use the gun to defend your life that day. What terrible noise to hear is the click instead of the bang. So all it takes is just to do a chamber check. Now, sometimes people do that. I see that, but not as many as I wish. Especially before I go and I start shooting at the range. After I load my gun, I always perform a chamber check. Now, magazine check. Why so important? Okay, it's important because you must understand also that the rest of the rounds that will be in your magazine, especially the next round that is sitting on top of the follower, it's a good round. Sometimes could be a bad round, could be a defective round. You can easily inspect it. And also you want to be sure that the round is sit all the way well to the bottom of the magazine. Because if you stick a little bit outside, it's going to be a problem. So this is something so important, but I believe that it's basic. Now, another important thing, as a general safety rule, every time somebody say, you want to check a gun, okay? You go to the gun shop or somebody, a friend, say, hey, check my gun. And they say, hey, it's already empty. Don't worry. Never matter. Doesn't matter. You always do a chamber check and a magazine check. Because at that point, the moment that you touch that gun, okay, you are pretty much responsible. And you never trust anybody else but your own eyes, okay? So that's very important. Always start with a chamber check and with a mag check. Now, let's start to see how to do this chamber check and magazine check. I'll try to describe it, of course, without photos, without videos. We are doing a radio show here after all. First of all, you start from the ready position, okay? You keep both your hands on the weapon. Keep your finger off the trigger. Your weapon must be pointed to a safe direction and keep it down about 45 degrees, okay? Think about it. You're on this ready position. Finger off the trigger, weapon pointed down in a safe direction and keep down it about 45 degrees. Now, at that point, you want to bring the weapon closer to your body. Because in this way, you can have better leverage and better control of the weapon. At that point, you keep your trigger finger straight, okay, and the muzzle in the safe direction. It's very important that this trigger finger must be straight, not even getting close to the trigger guard. You move the trigger finger away from the slide. It's important because you need that type of extra space, and I will show you when you go to handguntraining.tv, you can see exactly how it's done. Then, with your support hand, you grasp the slide, and you move it back about ½ inch, okay? So you are able to see into the chamber, okay? You want to just ½ inch. Don't forget, don't overdo it, because otherwise you may start to pretty much mess up your gun. If you see the brass, it means that the weapon is loaded. If you see no brass, it means the weapon is not loaded. Simple as that. There are 3 different ways you can pretty much move the slide back. Okay? And the best way, you go to my website, you can see the photos, handguntraining.tv. But let me tell you, one is called hand under. That means you have your hand pretty much under the slide. Okay? The other one is called the wedge method. And the other one is hand over. Okay? So there are 3 basic ways. At this point, you pick the one that is better for you. And everybody has a different body type. It's not about strength. Strength is about technique. Okay? Remember also, when you're pretty much pulling the slide back, move a little bit with your firing hand. You're holding the handgun, and move it forward a little bit. So it's going to help you out to have the little space that you can check the chamber. Now, once you have verified the condition of the chamber, at that point, you can pull the slide forwardly fully, okay? Or fully forward. It's called into battery, because especially when you have all guns, if you don't do that, then you're going to have a problem. You're going to have your slide off battery, okay? Now, at this point, we want to do the chamber check. We did it. We want to do the magazine check. At that point, depends your gun, how big it is in your hand. you want to rotate the hand around the grip a little bit, so in case the hand is not big enough, so you can use your thumb to push the magazine release. At that point, you release the magazine, and you want to index the magazine with your finger. Don't hold your magazine like a cone, like an ice cream cone, okay? So pretty much that. Anyway, guys, today it's pretty much the training for this one. Don't forget, please, go to lovegunsfreedom.com. I hope you enjoy a little bit the information I'm trying to give you here. And don't forget, ready for hour number 3. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. You're listening.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and who love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really live.
And this is the final hour of Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and on Guerrilla Media Network. Okay, guys. Normally, during this hour, I talk about different things. I try to relax. It's the hour about love. We talk about recipes, food, little serenade, my stuff. I need to detox after we talk about all this serious matter. And also, of course, we talk about physical love, and it means, the opportunity to meet somebody special, like with the like-minded ideals. Like, for example, I always want to remind you that we have freedomlovers.us. This is a website that I launched. This is a network, free website where you can pretty much join to meet like-minded singles, people who believe in freedom. And even if you're not a single, you can find friends, okay? So freedomlovers.us, don't forget. But today, I'm so proud that I have a chance to talk with a man that really, when I heard about him in 2007, it gave me a lot of meditation and made me think exactly, first of all, what type of reality we are living here on this planet right now, and also the important part of what I believe a Christian should do. As I said, this show is not about religion. You can believe in whatever you want. You can also be atheist. I don't really care. That's your personal choice. I'm not here to judge you. I'm a regular guy. Also, I'm a sinner. I'm the last person I can judge anybody. But I'm a Christian, okay? I believe in Christ. And you don't have to, of course. My only point is this one, though. As a Christian, I really believe that if we are not hypocritical, if we are really standing for good, we must not be afraid to denounce evil every time we can. This is pretty much the part of the show, because the moment that we are silent and we let evil flourish, our silence means consent. That's why today I want to bring a different type of love. The love of a man towards his fellow humans and also his fellow Americans, pretty much that had the courage to denounce and expose a plan by FEMA and Homeland Security to pretty much use the clergy. The project is called exactly Clergy-Response-Team, to use the pastors, over 30,000 pastors all over U.S., to pretty much subdue and brainwash and control the flock. I have with me an honor to have Pastor Revere. Pastor, are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you doing?
Very good. You want me to call you Pastor Revere or Pastor Mansfield? What is the name you would like to use?
You can call me Pastor Mansfield or Pastor Walt, because it's no secret now who I am.
I know, now you're no secret, but you were, Pastor Revere was your code name, right?
Yes, it was.
Please, I think the best person who can pretty much refresh the mind of what happened, what you did, it's you. Tell us exactly a little bit about how all this happened, when you really were called by FEMA and what you heard, what you seen. Tell us the story.
Very, very good. You can stop me if it goes too long, but I usually have it to a short phase. My wife came home one afternoon and said she'd run into a friend of hers who, she just happened to be the local FEMA director in our county. Not my wife, this woman, and she said she wanted me to call her because they wanted pastors to come on board for a countywide disaster relief program. And of course, I lit up because I'm thinking, this is FEMA. What do they want with pastors? I was already on target with that. And I wanted to know what they were doing in the county, why they wanted pastors, and because the FEMA director knew us, she invited me. So I went to the first meeting. I called the director, and she said to come to the first meeting. I went, and there were only two pastors, myself and another gentleman, the FEMA director, her secretary, and then a gentleman who was coming in from another county to fill us in on what this program was. And we found out immediately, the two pastors, myself and the other gentleman, that we were now on the board to initiate this clergy response team training for the county. And I was quite surprised there was on the board already. The gentleman began to speak. When he arrived, he began to speak, and he introduced himself. He was Citizen Corps director for his county. He was on the state FEMA agency. And I began to listen to him, and he started out pretty well by saying, we're here to include clergy because clergy, we found the best thing to do is bring clergy involved. And so I'm still listening and still wondering where he's going to get to it, and he finally dropped the bomb, and he said, we need pastors to come on board with FEMA to be trained in our materials to assist local law enforcement, National Guard if necessary, in periods of natural and man-made disasters, including relocation, quarantines, and martial law. Those are his exact words.
1 second, Pastor, 1 second. This is so important. Listeners, please, this is not a show to entertain you. These are vital information for you and your family, your community. Now, when was that and where was that? Date, about the year and the place.
That was in February and March of 2006, and excuse me, I was pastoring a church at that time, about 6 miles from the FEMA office.
Wow!
And it's a pretty small county anyway, and we pretty much know each other. But it was here in our county, and we were told by the gentleman who came, and also by the FEMA director, that this was the first of its kind, a pilot program. It was nowhere, nowhere to be found in the country. Of course, we know later through a CBS affiliate in Shreveport that was not true. The teams were already operating, but they led myself and the other pastor to believe this was a brand new project, and we were the guinea pig pilot program to get this going. And when he said we were to assist in martial law, I was already on board with this, have been for 30 years, and I'm listening and not believing what I'm hearing. And he kept going on and saying things such as this. He said that townspeople, county people know pastors. They trust pastors. Mm-hmm. And in our rural area, that's pretty much true. He goes, and you can get them to do things that we can't get them to do. For instance, if you can go up to Farmer John, these are his words now, you can go up to Farmer John and tell him to give up his double barrel and be transported to the high school for his own good.
Wow.
And he'll be afraid of his crops and animals being quarantined or the family being relocated, but you can assist law enforcement in that. So I asked the question, these guys are armed you're talking about. What do you think? Why do you think they're going to do that? And he said, you'll have the backup and the backing of law enforcement. And so they pretty much had a plan in place. He said the reason we want to use pastors, especially in rural areas, is because of what he called the cowboy mentality. And those are his words in quote. There's a cowboy mentality, and he described that as his words were, where a person thinks of individual rights, and he is an individualist, and he looks out for himself, and he doesn't think of the community at large or as a whole. So we have to quell that cowboy mentality, and you pastors are the go-to guys for that. That's pretty much what he told us.
This is so important, because this was just to let you know, listeners, I'm always the first one to expose Obama. But the point is this one, guys. This is not just about Obama. Obama didn't start this. He's just continuing and putting it bigger. this plan started even before Bush. But of course, this was under the Bush administration. So to be fair, guys, this is a plan, long-term plan for us Americans. And as you know, now we are getting to some sort of apex, almost the culmination of this final plan. And Pastor, you are aware that Jade Helm 15 is going to be pretty much practicing this training in July and August. Are you familiar with Jade Helm 15?
Oh yeah, we're alive on that one. There are many people who haven't in touch with some who live there, some pastors who live in that region, because I grew up in the Southwest, asking what's going on. Most are unfamiliar with, but yeah, I'm quite aware of what's going on.
So this is just another, it's like increasing every year. Now, what happened after you were 2006 and 2007? You were informed by FEMA how they wanted to use the pastors, and pretty much they put you under their payroll. They were going to pay you extra money, or you were just going to do this for the prestige? What was their type of hook on you guys? So did the FEMA give you some extra budget or a little reimbursement?
That is probably the question. There's no money involved at all, but that's probably the question that has to be asked. Why would a pastor submit himself to what they wanted us to do? There's a lot more they wanted us to do, and we can talk about the training material in just a few moments.
Yes, please.
But pretty much pastors were going to be stripped of any pastoral authority and any disaster relief work. There was no use of Scripture, couldn't use Jesus' name. You just couldn't be a pastor, and if there was a crisis situation, they told us flat out, we're not trained for mental health issues. We would have turned them over to the professionals, the mental health professionals. So a pastor getting involved in that, it's pretty strange to think why a man would actually do that. But having been a pastor for years, a lot of pastors fall into the problem of trying to grow their church numerically and, of course, financially, keeping the people they have, and getting involved in the community and the public eye. And what better way to do it than hold this carrot out there that says, my pastor is a FEMA-trained disaster relief coordinator. And that may speak to people. It may speak to people who would normally come to the church. It makes the church look good on a certain level. It doesn't to me at all, but it does on a certain level. And these pastors are pretty much bribed because a lot of them want to be. They think it's a good thing. But after 9 years of this, they're not ignorant. They cannot feign ignorance anymore. They know what's going on.
Yes.
So I think the draw is, it's an ego thing for pastors. And not all, but those men who get involved, it's definitely an ego thing. It looks good on a resume. It puts them in touch with local political celebrities, I guess. It puts them on the good plane with the federal government. And a lot of pastors are ignorant of the consequences, but they understand what they are to do. I was astounded to see 40-plus pastors responded to the training notice.
Wow.
That they wanted to do this in our little county, and most of those took training and eventually took the FEMA oath, the state FEMA oath to obey the governor and all the rules. They had no problem with it, and they had the same training I did. They read the same papers that restricted them in their pastoral authority and roles, and yet they still went through the program saying it was a good thing.
Wow. Let me ask you something, because this is so important. If I didn't know this is true, I didn't do my researches, it's still hard to believe. And that's why even this happened in 2006. And at the time, probably people at the beginning used to laugh at this, then finally became mainstream media, so much that also I will play right now in a little bit like local news about this one, TV network, I think also is on network. But regardless, what's happening here, this was 2006, before even the National Defense Authorization Act. Now, I don't need to repeat everybody what is about this National Defense Authorization Act. Pretty much is the destruction of our due process and rights. It brings us back before pre-Magna Carta. Now, any one of us can be detained indefinitely by the military, using the military to round us up with no due process, no trial, no evidence, nothing, and also torture and killed. This is in the law, by the way. Section 1022 also, subsection C, allows detention under the law of war without trial until the end of the hostilities authorized by authorization for use of military force. So we are pretty much right now, it's like a chess game. They're moving all the different pawns, and now we're almost ready for checkmate. And unfortunately, and we are the one, they're going to be checkmate. Now, what happened when you found out all this critical information that as a human being, as an American, as a pastor, you knew that you had to scream and try to warn the rest of us, even paying the consequences? What did you do? I mean, how long took you to realize that you had to do your duty to try to warn us?
Well, first, you painted the picture correctly. You have to scream something. You're about to go crazy over it. I made the conscious decision after that first meeting that I was going to continue going to meetings and give out all the information I could as soon as I could. And I'd already been on a program with Pastor Butch Paul months before, just talking about the condition of the church and how apostate it was happening to become. And so I sent him an email, and I sent another program an email. Both in the same email said, would you be interested in hearing about FEMA preparing pastors to assist in martial law? And, of course, that caught their attention. And the very next morning, the day after the meeting, I got a call from both of them, and I was on the air with them. And they asked what I was going to do, and I said, I'm going to go back to the meetings because these people are unaware of any radio programs. And I think at that time it was all shortwave. Mm-hmm. And so I kept going to meetings. I'd go to a meeting on Tuesday, and Thursday I'd be on the air with somebody spilling the beans. And each program I was on, and word got around, they would call me a pastor from Ohio, or Pastor Revere was given to me by one gentleman. Mm-hmm. So I screamed aloud, and of course I told our church about it. I told friends about it. I started getting on email with people and letting them know about it. Other pastors and churches, they'd never heard of the program. And all this time, I did not know that this had already happened in Katrina aftermath the year before. I didn't know that because we were being led to believe we were the first program. But it was going out everywhere that this is what was happening. And I did that for 3 months. We had 3 months of meetings to prepare for training. We contacted the pastors. I was pretty much on the working board of getting this started in our county. And it was still just myself and the other pastor. And then it was the second day of the training. I'd gone to a conference in West Virginia to publicly speak. I've been on the Alex Jones program, mm-hmm. and that's when I was found out. The local FEMA director found
I heard out. You on the Alex Jones is true. Yeah, that's why I heard you, and I was so impressed. First of all, I almost hard to believe it, but I always wanted to verify the sources, and I did my homework, and I say, oh my gosh, this is really happening, and mm-hmm. And even I didn't know you then, I say, you know what, I'm so proud to be an American because of people like you, seriously. And this is the point, guys, okay? Things are happening. I believe this is part of a superior plan, something that, I'm not trying to preach, as I said, I'm not a preacher, I'm not that good, but I tell you, I believe we are getting really close to this global government that is also mentioned in Revelation, and that you may believe it or not, that's up to you, I don't care, but the point, I do believe in that. And something must go through. We're going to go through a hardship. We're already going through hardship. And many of us will be persecuted. I understand that. Many of us may not see the end. I believe at the end we will win though. But regardless, the time we've been given right now, as a human being, as an American, and also as a Christian, normally I don't talk much about my religion on the show, but today I think it's a good, important thing to do. It is our duty to stand up and look into the eyes of evil and tell him to go to hell. That's the bottom line. The moment that we are afraid, the moment that we are silent, we are pretty much surrendering our soul to evil. We must speak up. Worst they can do, they can kill us. Get my body, you will never get my soul. That's my message, Pastor. What do you think?
Amen. I mean, and we have a term down south that says, that will preach, brother.
Okay, maybe I have a career. By the way, just for laughing, I want to, before we continue talking about serious stuff, I'm not a pastor, but I launch a church. It's called The Religion of Freedom, and I will talk about that after the show. I mean, I don't want to, but it's something different. It's about a religion that we want to respect each other, and we have rights until we infringe other people's rights. And nobody of us really preaches because we are just regular sinners, and we are not the expert into preaching, but we want to have the chance to at least be united in the cause of freedom. That's pretty much the story. But that's another story. You can see, if you are curious to see me in my outfit as Religion of Freedom, that I will start to give sermons pretty soon on YouTube, go to religionoffreedom.com and don't laugh too much, okay, about my new outfit. Anyway, Pastor, let's talk about serious things. What do you think about it from your perspective? Don't you see all the elements, all these parts of the puzzle that we are really getting now closer to this global government that also the scriptures have been warning us?
Oh, yeah. The clergy response teams are just a small part of it, and that's what I tell people. The part that I got to play in it was a small part of what I'm aware of on everything. And everyone's there. We are all aware of martial law coming down, executive orders coming left and right, tyranny. We all know that. So my part is very small. But to me, it's significant because it affects the church, and it affects those men who are called shepherds of the church. I don't know what they're thinking when they get involved in these kinds of things, because they are abdicating their power. They're getting rid of their power to shepherd the flock. Part of being a shepherd is to protect the flock. Jesus was quite clear on that in John chapter 10 when he talks about protecting, and he is the chief shepherd. We have to understand that we as pastors need to protect our flock from those things. But I'm afraid with these pastors who are signing up, they're opening the front door, they're letting the federal government come in and not only take the pews, they're taking the pulpits. The government is calling the shots for our churches, and churches are bowing down to this, and it just doesn't happen just through the clergy response teams. Any registered 501c3 church has to play the game. They have joined the team. Now they have to play the game. Government says something, they have to do it. I mean, why do you think all these churches and pastors are not on the front lines in Indiana right now, or Arkansas, or Alabama? We don't see the clergy. We don't see the pastors out there. But I guarantee you, if there was a disaster and FEMA came in, you'd see pastors out there. All right, they're the wrong ones.
Yeah.
And that's the fear. So you are correctly stating, we have to screen. Pastors have to be the ones in the forefront because they're already there. But I think they're too busy. As one man said, we're too busy in our holy huddles. You know, we just kind of all come together and we talk about what we should do, then we go home. But no.
Now, another thing, because, Romans 13, we already talked about this also with Pastor Chuck Baldwin, I had on the show here with me, is used pretty much by the government to try to remind the flock that we must submit to authority. And I'm not an expert, but I'm reading it here, Romans 13:1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that we are ordained of God. I mean, guys, if Hitler tomorrow tells me I must submit to him, or Mao Zedong, or Stalin, I'm going to give it the middle finger. I don't care about Romans 13. Now, my point is this one. I'm not an expert. I will probably keep for myself the interpretation. But since we have here one expert as a pastor, he knows the scripture. Please tell us how we can, since they're trying to bring that we must submit, according to Romans 13, to the authority of government. Tell us your opinion. Why this is wrong, or maybe this is right, Pastor.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, I certainly won't call myself an expert. I appreciate you're saying pastors do have a little bit more
experience.
Experience and knowledge, I guess, because we work with the scriptures.
Yes.
Or at least some of us do. That was part of the training. FEMA told us that the best thing we could do is prepare our churches by preaching sermons from Romans 13. They told us that. And of course, it was their interpretation. But Romans 13, I think the first and foremost thing people have to remember, and it's the obvious point. The gentleman who wrote this, the Apostle Paul, was executed for disobeying the authorities. So either he's a hypocrite, he wrote these words, God gave him the words and really didn't mean it, or we're not looking at it correctly. And I can't go into a big dissertation on this, but most people agree the government that's described in Romans 13 is not the one we have. It is not the rewarder of good and the punisher of evil. Ours is reversed. These people are not ministers of God exercising good over good and rewards for those who do good. Our government is punishing do-gooders, the real do-gooders, the Christians. We're being punished left and right. We're being allowed to be castigated by the mainstream media and everybody else, and there's nothing being done, and the government's behind that. For FEMA to come in and tell pastors that they must put down their Bibles, they can't pray in Jesus' name, but that's called disaster relief. That's a government that is not reflected in Romans 13. That's not a government who rewards good and punishes evil. That's a government that's backwards. So what I would tell people, this is my opinion, this is where I get off saying that this is the interpretation.
Yeah.
I could easily obey a government from Romans in Scripture in Romans 13, the one that rewards good and punishes evil. But I cannot be subject to a government that goes against God's laws and does the reverse. The Old Testament tells us they call evil good and good evil. That's not the right people. So I'm not in submission to them. I have to stand with the apostles, with Peter, who was called in by the officials and told to stop preaching. He says, we're going to obey God rather than men. You know, and in fact, Scripture says all the apostles responded that way. So there were a group of men who were together, and they all agreed, no, we're going to obey God. So we have to have that today. We have to have a community of pastors, shepherds, Christians who say, no, we are not going to obey you. We're going to obey God first. And people keep waiting for the government to tell us to do something that's against Christ. I hear that all the time. I hear people tell me, oh, I'll do something when the government finally tells you to do something that's not godly. And that's been going on since the 70s with abortion. We pay our taxes.
Yeah.
So how much is it going to take if we're murdering babies? How long is it going to take for Christians to stand up and say, you know, the government is already wrong? But the thing is, we've mixed a kind of American patriotism in with our Christianity, and we've made Christianity subservient to this idea that this nation is supposed to be blessed by God. I think we've run our distance on this one. I think you're right. We are going to see the culmination with the disintegration of the government we have, and then where all this shit going to be? I think they're going to be lapping it up, going to the FEMA camps. I don't think they care.
Yeah.
I think the problem is they're going to be in their churches. They're going to be happy. They don't see the empire as what I call America. They don't see the empire as crumbling.
No.
The empire's foundation was shaky, and now the entire structure is falling apart. And they're trying to make the best of it by making laws to make us obey, but it's chafing some people the wrong way. And I pray that it's the church that is chafed enough to say, no, we're going to obey God rather than men. So
I agree. And by the way, when I say FEMA camps, we mention FEMA camps. I know some of you guys, they're very aware of this show, listening to the show, you know all this stuff, but some other, probably they're just tuning in, you're driving through the, Sunday morning, you're going to have your brunch or whatever, probably you're laughing, oh, what is this bunch of conspiracy? Every time I bring you something, I bring you facts and I back it up. There is a law, it's a federal law, National Emergency Centers Act, or also it's called HR 645, that is on the book, it mandates the establishment of national emergency centers to be located on military installations for the purpose of providing temporary housing, medical, humanitarian assistance to individuals and families dislocated to an emergency or major disaster, according to the bill. And when I say, guys, sometimes I hear from people that they live still in Kansas, like in another America, the America of the past. They think, oh, this is not going to happen here. This is America, guys. I'm sorry to bring you the bad news. It already happened here. We had camps for the native Indians. We had camp for the American Japanese descendants. We had camp for the Germans American descendants. We had camp also for some Italians during the war, American Italian descendants. So the camps model, it's already been created successfully and used. Now the difference will be probably used for different type of people. Everybody who does not comply with this new world order or with this global tyranny. And, of course, Christians, gun owners, constitutionalists, veterans, and they're on that list. We already know that.
Yes.
Pastor, sometimes I tell you something, when I came to America 16 years ago, I was kind of a clueless guy. I love freedom, even when I didn't know really how it tastes, but I knew that Italy wasn't my place, okay? That's why I left. And I traveled around the world, and I was looking for an island of peace and where I could fulfill my destiny as a human being. And after I traveled many parts of the world, I say, wow, America is really the place where I wanted to be. They didn't take me long. I don't know if you heard, when you will listen to the first hour when I had as my guest, Michael New's father, Daniel New, when I realized that America was pretty much on the list as the last place to be hit by the global government. And I realized this is the last place we have to try to regain our freedoms and to have what our founding fathers fought so hard to create in this experiment of this republic. Now, sometimes it's very hard and to live and cope with the reality that we are in right now. If I didn't have faith, I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm pretty much a big sinner, and I'm a guy with a lot of weaknesses, and I do my best to try to get better. But regardless, I realize that if this battle cannot be won just by guns or in this physical dimension, it must be won first of all in your heart and in your soul with faith. Because sometimes I don't feel like even to wake up if I just don't believe that there is somebody like Christ that is there, because it would be impossible to even face all these nightmares every day. And, that's the point I'm trying to make, guys. And this is the hour of love, I'm trying to say. We talk about guns the second hour. Guns are important. That's fine. We are in this dimension. We will do everything we can to defend our freedoms and our people and our safety. But at the same time, if we don't have an armor in our spirit, in our heart, and our faith is not there to support us, we won't even have the motivation to stand up against evil. This is the only humble thing I'm trying to say here. Mm-hmm. Because I really believe that it's the struggle of the soul. And all this is happening in this physical dimension. It is just a test, because after all, what they want, it's our soul. The body is just it's a transition we are living in. All right, that's enough for my pseudo-preaching or whatever I'm trying to do here, try to share my opinion. Now, Pastor, talking about other very important thing, do you have still documents that when you were doing this training with FEMA, you still have any hard copy documents about this training?
Do I still have the training documents?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
It would be possible, because I like to really reach out people that they are not believers. They think that this is a bunch of game and we are trying to entertain. I would like to short these documents. Is it possible to have a PDF or a JPEG or any type of way that I can post on lovegunsfreedom.com and people can freely download them?
Sure. What I can do is send you the website where they're located.
Perfect.
There were two programs who I sent those to, and they put them up on their web pages, and they still carry them today after 9 years.
Wow.
And it's the same material that FEMA is using, and it's something like pastor spiritual care in times of disaster.
Okay.
Is the title. So yeah, I'll send this to you.
I appreciate it. Now, why I'm doing this today, why this show, why this segment is so important. I don't go to churches, but that's just me, okay? I believe in Christ. That's my own personal thing. If I found a pastor like you, I would probably join you. I would love that. But regardless, right now I'm here. But any one of you guys or girls who are going to church, I think at this point it's so important that you ask to your pastor if he is part of this clergy response team. If he's working with FEMA, it's your duty to ask. And at that point, start to realize that maybe at this point you need to change church. Or maybe you need to let them know, the pastor, that this is not the right thing to do. What do you think about this, Pastor? You think people, they're still unaware of this out there? I don't think everybody knows.
No, I was surprised after 9 years, and I thought everybody knew. I lived in Tennessee for a year and found people who never heard of this, others who had. But it's those people who are connected who usually hear this stuff at least once. Like you said, you were listening to the radio and there it was. I ran into a gentleman 4 years ago who said, I heard you on Butch Paw's program, and how's that going? And I gave him an update. He said, I didn't know it was still a bad thing. I said, it's terrible. Well, there are people who don't know. And so I'm here on your program, and I've done others. I send out emails to people who send me questions like, do you have the training material? This is all bunk, or my pastor said it's not true, or whatever. But I don't have to keep saying it is true, because we can see these pastors working, but we have to let people know, because a lot of folks don't know. It's a shame. It's something that I think should be at the forefront, because it speaks to the integrity of the church. We have the Christian church being maligned everywhere, with the ordination of homosexuals, with things just completely falling apart in the church. That makes the news. And now it's going to start making the news, and it has. I think you have a clip from a program where pastors are involved in doing this very thing, helping FEMA and the National Guard confiscate weapons.
Let me play this clip right now. I think it's an important thing. This is something that a few years old, 2009, I guess, or 2007, excuse me. But let's play this one. 1 second. Stay there. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Here we go.
Law ever become a reality in America? Some fear any nuclear, biological, or chemical attack on U.S. territory might trigger just that. And as KSLA News 12 Jeff Farrell discovered, the clergy would help the government with potentially their biggest problem, us.
From my cold, dead hand.
Charlton Heston's famous declaration captures a truly American value, the overarching desire to protect our freedoms. But gun confiscation is exactly what happened during the state of emergency following Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. U.S. troops also arrived, something far easier to do even now thanks to last year's elimination of the 1878 Posse Comitatus Act. That forbid U.S. troops from policing on American soil. If martial law were enacted here at home, like depicted in the movie The Siege, easing public fears and quelling dissent would be critical. And that's exactly what the clergy response team, as it's called, helped accomplish in New Orleans.
Jeff, the primary thing that we say to anybody is let's cooperate and get this thing over with, and then we'll settle the differences once the crisis is over.
Such clergy response teams would walk a tightrope between the needs of the government versus the wishes of the public.
In a lot of cases, these clergy would already be known in the neighborhoods in which they're helping to defuse that situation.
For the clergy, one of the biggest tools that they will have in helping calm the public down or obey the law is the Bible itself, specifically Romans 13.
Because the government is established by the Lord, and that's what we believe in the Christian faith. That's what's stated in the Scripture.
Civil rights advocates believe the amount of public cooperation may depend largely on how long they expect a suspension of their rights might last. Jeff Farrell, KSLA News 12 reporting.
According to Tuberville, during Hurricane Katrina, the clergy response team provided 38 chaplains a day around the clock at 8 different camps.
Okay. Pastor, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
This is like 2006, 2007 piece of information. I mean, we are talking about right now is 2015. Things that got worse and worse. And what do you think about Katrina? In my opinion, it was a dry run. What do you think about that?
Oh, absolutely. When, as I was stating, just 6 months after those events were taking place in Louisiana, we had our training. We were being told the exact same word phrase. Let's just get in there, get the job done. We'll sort out all the stuff later.
Mm-hmm.
We have to get people to cooperate. We have to make sure things are done right. Pretty much what was said on that videotape is what I was reporting from my contact with radio programs. And all I had was the training material, which did not mention any of that. So there was a lot of speculation. Is this for real? But this news report you just played is from a year later, 2007, documenting something that took place a year before I was exposing things. I contacted Jeff Farrell at KSLA and spoke with him. He'd never heard of me, never heard the programs, didn't know anything, and I said, pretty much what they're saying on there is verbatim what I've been reporting that's happened in our training. So he did some interviews with me about the specific methods of the training. And I think that's pretty much as far as it went. But it was pretty good vindication for those of us who went out on a limb and said, this is what the team was doing, nobody believed us. And then when they found out it was happening in Katrina, it definitely was a dry run. And pretty much everything's a dry run for something bigger. This is not the end-all issue, but they know now they can get pastors to cooperate in gun confiscation. They know that they can get the National Guard to do the same, and they being the federal government. They can come into a state, federalize a disaster area, call the shots, make people do what they want to do, and pretty much the people will do what they're told to do. And today, 9 years later, it's far worse.
Yes. Now,
we have, go ahead.
How, you were very unique in that moment because I didn't hear about any other pastors. I'm sure maybe some other pastors were trying to do something, but I never heard about it.
Sure.
I know that I heard about you. I know that you were there as a Pastor Revere, tried to warn us about the imminent dangers that we were facing as Americans, as human beings, and also as Christians, manipulated by these pastors. How and when they did find out that you were pretty much not part of their plan and you were trying to expose them? How it happened?
You mean how did I finally discover that this
No.
is wrong?
How FEMA, how the government found out that you were not exactly what they wanted, and you were trying to expose them, and what they did to you. What happened to you after?
It was quite exciting. I'd been in the program for 3 months. I mean, we only had training for 2 days, but setting everything up, learning all the details. I had spoken on Alex Jones's program. It was on a Tuesday. I'm not sure if it was Tuesday or Thursday. That weekend, I went to West Virginia to speak at a public conference. And those two areas, I think it was a conference where I was pretty much stood out and said, this is who I am, this is what I've been doing. I'm the pastor of your guy, and so I exposed FEMA that way. Sunday morning, I was back at home, the day after the conference, went into the chaplain's office at the hospital where I was serving as a volunteer chaplain. And we have to pull up our emails to see what our calls are for the day. I pulled it up and saw a couple of emails from the president of the chaplain agency there at the hospital, and he was telling the pastor who was the chaplain, who just happened to be the other gentleman, the other pastor I was in training with. He was chairman of the pastors, saying he had listened to a program, heard my voice, pretty much knows it's me.
Wow.
And he said, I really can't work with Walt anymore. He's this. And this was the chaplain's program. It had nothing to do with the training. However, both those pastors, the chairman and also the president, had been to the training and taken training. I looked up on the desk, and there was a paper folder, a file. I pulled it out, and everything I had sent to the radio programs, all the training material, all my emails between me and these radio programs were printed in a folder sitting on the chaplain's desk with a note attached to it.
Wow.
From the local FEMA director saying, do something about this. And there's a Post-it note. I took it out, and I froze. I just couldn't believe it. All this happened in less than 2 days, because I'd been on Alex's program, this conference. They'd heard the program. They'd not heard the others, but they heard that one. And it was no fault of the radio programs. This stuff was downloaded as public access, and it came from the national FEMA office out of Atlanta, Georgia. I assume that's a DHS facility. I don't know about that one. But it was sent to our local FEMA office, and that was forwarded on to the chaplain's office. So FEMA was quite upset that this stuff was going out. I don't know why they'd be upset, because they were already doing it. But I guess it was the way we were presenting it and giving them the training material. So I lost my position as a chaplain. I really didn't have much fellowship with the local pastors, but that ended. We were my wife and I were pretty much ostracized in the Pastors Alliance groups here in town. To this day, there was no fellowship with those guys. They just treat me like a pariah.
Wow. What is about the average your followers? Do they understand? I mean, I'm sure you got people that understand what's going on.
Yeah, the church at that time was rather large. It was, in our capacity, around 70 people. And we lost some families over it because they didn't like the idea the pastor was getting political. But when we boiled things down, the core group, I call them, the real church, I guess, fantastic people. And then here we are 9 years later. Some things had taken place over the years, personal, medical, and those things. Our church pretty much fell apart. We have gone back into meeting in our home. We have a house church. We have a number of families there. We're quite excited about that. Every single person in the room is like-minded. They're aware of all of this. They're just want to do their part. They all do their part, and they're in different sections of this, opposing the New World Order, opposing federal intervention. They're all quite aware. And our Sunday services are quite exciting. We have a lot of innovative things, but are basically real church. We don't mess around with Scripture. We don't mess around, perverting Scripture. We teach and preach the Word. We encourage each other. We disciple each other. And we keep doing that because we know the time is short. This is getting worse by the minute. You can barely turn on any news facility and not find something that is attacking the church.
If people want to find out about you, I mean, I know you're on Facebook. We have Facebook friends. Do you have also a website or a way people can reach you out? Maybe in your area there are other listeners through the internet in your community, or maybe Ohio. Maybe just people say, thank you, Pastor, and thank you for inspiring me. How they can contact you?
Well, I've been told for 6 years to get a website. I've yet to do it. But I do have a Facebook page. It was Pastor Revere, but Facebook bounced that name because I wasn't using my real name, thanks to them. But you can find me at Walt Mansfield on Facebook. I'll be glad to put that out. It's just for friends only, so you have to send me a message. But please do. Walt Mansfield is the name, and you can reach me there. Questions, comments, and while nothing is directly posted there about FEMA as yet, that's what I'm moving into with what you can do. I have 5 or 6 things that people should do immediately. And if you'd like me to give you those, I could. It's the first thing you do is to check with your local county EMA office. That's the local FEMA office. It's called Emergency Management Agency. Ask if they have clergy training. Ask if they have continuing clergy training. You may get a yes or no, and then ask if they know anything about the clergy response teams. They have a pat answer. They don't exist. But they do exist. It's very easy to see that. Search the internet for information regarding use of clergy at disaster sites. That's happening constantly around the country now. They have drills, disaster drills, and you'll see clergy response team vehicles. You'll see pastors in groups. You'll see relocation centers where victims are, and you'll see pastors working there. So there's a whole lot there. You can also visit the Center for Domestic Preparedness in Anniston, Alabama. That's a DHS facility, and they have clergy training there as well. So there are many ways to check out. And then the best thing, ask your pastor. Go right up to him and say, do you know about this? If you don't, you should. Contact this guy. He's a pastor. Tell them to contact me. I'll talk to them.
Perfect.
The information's out there. They can listen to your program and get enough information.
And I will post also a link on today's show. We have a page created just for the show, and lovegunsfreedom.com, and there is going to be your photo and the link directly to your Facebook page. And when you have a website, I will also post it out. This is so important, guys, seriously. Even if you're not a Christian, even if you're a Buddhist or whatever religion, if you're atheist, it doesn't matter. This is not about religion, okay? Religion is personal. We believe in whatever you want to believe. This is about freedom. This is about now we have in the government using a part of the church to pretty much enslave us, put us in bondage. This is what it's about. And it's the duty of every one of us, regardless of your religion, to try to be involved, try to expose this evil. That's all it's about right now. And get inspired by men like Pastor Rivera here to stand up for good. Okay? Stand up for good. And I understand there are consequences sometimes, most of the times when you stand up for good, because evil is not going to get there and laughing at you. They want to get you. Guess what? It's a choice. Pastor, you know you're on the list, right?
I think so. Yeah.
And I think I'm happy and proud to be on that list with you. Okay?
Amen.
That's my point. And that's my attitude, guys. The moment that they smell fear in you, we are lost. We have lost everything. We have lost our dignity, our freedom, and our soul. That's the most important thing. The moment that we stand up and we say, go ahead. You want to be a thug? You want to be evil bastard? Go ahead. Make my day. Most of the time, like rabid dogs, guess what? They disappear. The moment that we fear, they cave in. And I tell you this, I saw with my own eyes at the Bundys, at the standoff last year, today pretty much, 1 year ago. We were there and we were standing the line peacefully and they were pointing rifles at us. Okay? And the moment that we say, go ahead, you want to kill us? Go ahead. Guess what? This time, at least that time, the situation, they could not believe it. Wow, the American people, they're standing up. The American people, they're not afraid to take a bullet in their chest just to make a point. We are not your slaves. That's the bottom line. Okay, so that's the bottom line, my friends. That's why I'm so happy that I was able to bring Pastor Revere here, because this is happening. A lot of people still are unaware. And it's our job, at least it's my duty here with my broadcasting, to try to reach you out. As I said, this show is not for entertainment. It's for me like an act of love. I'm trying to do it as best as I can with my limitations, with my grammars, with my English, with my accent, whatever I have. I'm here, try to fulfill my duty as a new American to warn that this republic and our souls, and more important, if you don't believe in the soul, that's fine. But our freedoms, it's already being conquered, okay? Now, we gotta get it back. Pastor, what do you think about this Indiana law for the gay, restaurants and stuff like that, freedom of religion in business? What do you think? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I think the laws are great. Several states have them already. But I think the craziest thing is why don't you just go shop somewhere else? I wouldn't shop at a store that didn't want my business, so I wouldn't go there. That's common sense, and that's what's lacking in these people's brains. They have no common sense, and worse, they have an agenda to change and punish and drive out of business Christians. It's just an anti-Christian demonstration and riots that are going on, verbal riots, but it's just a sad thing to see.
Pastor, on this one, I have a little bit of different opinion. Let me tell you how I look at this. I would address this as a law, not as a Christian law, but as a law, I am not your slave, and this is my damn business. That's the way I would address it, because nothing to do with the religion or gays or whatever. The moment that the government forces me to perform an act, in this case, in my business, what's supposed to be my business, to be your slave, pretty much, because I have no option. Okay? I don't care if you are black, white, yellow, gay, straight, transsexual. That's not the point. The point is, this is my private little business. And I have the right to lose or make money the way I want it.
That's right.
That's simple as that. And the moment that they try to twist it, this is a bigotism, this is the Christian thing, this is against gay. No, it's not against gay. It's about my business. That's the way I would approach this one, because unfortunately when you open, and don't get me wrong, I believe that we have the right to be religiously decide what is right for our own religious, moral level things, okay? I mean, this guy's coming from somebody, let me tell you, okay? Before people start to say, you're a bigot. I do serenades, okay? I do serenades, weddings, and stuff like that. I really enjoy. This is something I do for fun. And I have no problems to have customers. They do, gay weddings, whatever. That's my personal choice, okay? I'm a Christian, and I can also perform gay weddings. I do serenades. That's me. At the same time, I completely support the business right to decide if they want to sell you or do a performance service according to their moral or to the religious belief. Okay? We never should be forced by the government to do that. This means slavery. So, before you start to come and get me, you're a bigot, you don't like gays, first of all, mind your business, but that's not even the point. I do gays weddings, for God's sake, okay? And that's not the point. The point is about freedom. Freedom. I have the right to choose if I want to perform a service or not. Otherwise, I'm nothing less than a slave. So I wish we could get that down to the American people's mind, that we have pretty much become slaves. Pastor, I never met you, but I really believe that everything happened for a reason. And I consider you my brother in Christ and also in freedom. And I treasure your friendship. And all I want to say, I want to dedicate a song that I wrote a couple years ago or so. It's called I Am Not Afraid. And also I will send you a CD whenever you can give me your address in the email. And this song is dedicated to you and all the pastors and all the people out there. We are not afraid to stand up for good against evil. Thank you, Pastor Revere.
Thank you.
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Your rod and staff, they comfort me. I am not afraid, because you are with me. Na 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 na. 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 Na 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 na. I'm not afraid. 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 I'm not afraid to face the truth. I can see evil in
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. Because you're with me. I'm not afraid. Because I believe in you. Not afraid.
Okay, guys, and that was I'm Not Afraid, musical lyrics by Luca Zanna. I'm so proud that I had today with me Pastor Revere or Walt Mansfield, okay? And just to let you know, guys, this show is an act of love itself. I'm not here trying to make an extra dollar really because it doesn't really pay. And the risks that we have, this is not a game. I mean, talking about these things, I don't care if it's just on local radio. By the way, it goes much more than local radio because I'm going through right now the statistics and the listenership is all over the world. I'm getting listeners from all over the world and the radio is just a part, okay? So the internet is really helping us out to share this message. It is not a game. It is serious. And all I'm saying, I'm happy to do my part, but I need your help, okay? If you can support my effort, it's very simple. Go to my website, any of my websites. One of these, when I can give it to you, it's Zanna, Z-A-N-N-A, art, A-R-T.com. And you can download any of my songs or purchase any items that you find there. And doing that, you support the show. You support also the effort I'm trying to do here to keep this show completely free. As you can hear, the sponsors, if they are here, they are always after I pretty much have freedom of speech. There is no way I'm going to be controlled in what I have to say. And I may be sometimes right or wrong, you decide. But that's the bottom line. In my good heart, I'm trying to do my best to bring you facts and truth. Now, you've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. And with God's willing, I'll talk to you next Sunday. Thank you very much. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Gianluca Zanna on Guerrilla Media Network.